A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all-old-time radio.
This, I believe. John Goodell is a writer. He started writing for newspapers and the movies, and finally radio. Now he is the head of John Goodell Radio Productions, and is the producer of the Groucho Marx Show, People Are Funny, and Art Linkletter's House Party. It is a part of John Goodell's work and success to put new twists to old or new ideas. And he has approached his statement for This, I Believe, in an unusual manner.
The day we graduate from school, we're determined to make the world a better place in which to live. We sit under the stars in our old roadsters, telling our girls everything we're going to do someday. We are cushioned by the soft night, the adoring attention of the girls beside us. We are 2 feet off the ground. It's a great feeling. We're not sure exactly what we're going to do to make the world a better place in which to live. We just say that we must leave something behind us on this earth that wasn't here when we arrived. Something good, that is. We have all the purposeful direction of an electric fan, but plenty of juice to keep the fan running. And it runs as long as the soft night shelters us from the world. Then in the cold reality of daylight, we look for a job. Doorknobs of prospective employers are hot to the touch. We hate the thought of being nothing more than a messenger boy for the first year. We were meant for bigger things, quickly, right now. We want to run back to our roadsters and dream some more with our girls who adore us. But because we must have certain luxuries in life, like bread, we finally accept one of these lowly jobs. 6 months go by. We get a $2.50 raise. Another 6 months. We have a desk of our own with our very own telephone extension. 2 years go by. We have a partitioned office now and can draw from the secretarial pool. By now we've married the girls who sat beside us in the roadsters and are worrying about the payments on the refrigerator and television set and the pediatrician's bill and how much cash we'll need to swing a deal on a new car. We haven't exactly forgotten our determination to make this world a better place in which to live. We just say, not yet. We say we must make our living first. We must first find security for ourselves and raise our children. That rope of ideals to which we clung so tightly long ago has slacked in our hands. Our grip has loosened, and as we swing our goals to a place in the country where we can retire in comfortable security, you know, with 2 horses and golf every day and a few chickens and an orchard to make it deductible, well, we have let go of the rope forever. Someday simply never comes. Is this a preachment? No, because there's nothing wrong with this life. But this I believe. By using as a blueprint the words of Confucius, every 1,000-mile journey must begin with a single step. I can hang on to that rope. Instead of waiting for some miracle to make me President of the United States, I can join a local citizens committee if my goal is to clean up politics. I can work at being a member of the PTA if I want to improve our educational system. If I want to start a foundation for the benefit of others, I don't have to wait until I'm rich. Here's an example. For $200 a year, I can have an ice cream company deliver 1 ice cream cone every Saturday to each of the 70 children in a small orphanage. They'll get shoes and food somehow, but they don't get little luxuries like ice cream cones. A week at Palm Springs won't mean as much 20 years later as that ice cream cone every Saturday when you're 8 years old. That can be the entire project of my foundation, my first step. I believe in taking these steps one at a time, looking no further ahead than the end of the day. One concrete step of something accomplished is better than a fireman's ladder of deeds undone. My creed is a selfish one. For any of these steps make you feel good. But is it bad to feel good?
That was John Goodell, writer and head of his own radio and television production office in Hollywood.
The Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation brings you Crime Photographer.
Hi, Ethelbert. What are you reading?
Kind of information test in the paper. It says,
What do these four names stand for? John L. Sullivan, John J. McGraw, Todd Sloan, Barney Oldfield.
Easy. Boxing, baseball, racing, auto racing.
Sir, you got 'em fast.
Yeah, it's a cinch. They're among the most famous names in their line. Everybody knows those names.
Why, certainly, like everyone knows that Anchor Hocking is the most famous name in glass. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tony Marvin. Every week at this time, the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, and its more than 10,000 employees bring you another adventure of Casey, crime photographer, ace cameraman who covers the crime news of a great city. Written by Alonzo Dean Cole, our adventure for tonight, Ex-Convict. Morning. A highway leading from the city to its suburbs. At an intersection stands a hitchhiker dressed in new but strangely ill-fitting clothes. A battered-looking car slows down, and as it does so...
Hop in, bud. Thanks. Where are you heading for?
Ardenvale?
Ah, you're in luck. We're passing right through there.
That's swell, mister.
Casey's the name. Mine's Holden. Where are you going at Ardendale?
Brinsley Road.
The Maddox Estates?
How'd you know?
I just guessed. How long you been out?
Out?
Of the big house.
Now, look here, if you're going to be...
Wait a minute, don't get sore.
You a cop?
The sign on the windshield tells you my racket.
Press.
Mm-hmm.
One of them wise guy reporters.
No. Just a dumb photographer.
You remember my case? You took pictures of me when I was wrapped.
Nope. Never saw you before. When a guy wearing a prison-issue suit is heading for Asa Maddox, the next con can't get an honest job anywhere else. He's always sent to old man Maddox. What were you in for, Bud?
Armed robbery.
First conviction?
Yeah. 5 years. I had it come to me, though.
Oh, you feel that way about it?
Yeah. I'm not going to have it come to me again.
What'd you say your name was, pal?
Holden. Ben Holden.
Well, who sent you to Maddox, Ben? Welfare Foundation?
Yeah. I guess this Maddox is a pretty swell guy.
You bet. Aces, from what I hear. I never met him, though. He's given a lot of guys that have been in jams fresh starts. Most of them are made good, some in a big way.
At the foundation, they said a couple of rats had crossed and plenty.
That's right. Been 2 cases during the past year.
Guys he'd helped went out and pulled jobs while they were living on his estate.
That's right.
Nice character.
Yeah, I think so, too.
What do you know about it? You never come out of stir without a friend? Finally, to have a decent guy offer you a break? Anyone who rats on a decent guy like that should have his heart cut out.
No, I'd say you meant that. Ben, I think Mr. Maddox is hiring a pretty good boy. Photography department, Casey speaking.
City desk, Casey.
Yeah, Bert, yeah.
Report just came in of a payroll holdup at the Hannigan Mills.
Huh?
$30,000 taken by a lone bandit.
Hey, that's a nice haul. You want me to get out to the Hannigan Mills plant, of course?
No. Beat it down to headquarters. The paymaster, whose name is Whalen, has been taken down to headquarters to go over pictures in the criminal files. And if he makes an identification,
Casey, here's that picture the paymaster identified. It's Ben Holden.
Ben Holden.
Discharged from Woolstick Prison a month ago. I put out his description, all radio cars and precinct stations. We'll soon pick him up.
Ben Holden.
Calling all cars, all precinct stations. Discontinue search for Hannigan Mills robber Ben Holden. Discontinue search for Ben Holden. He has just been identified as hit-and-run victim of unknown car. Ben Holden is dead.
Hey, Joe, them guests at the end of the bar want 3 more bottles of beer. Now, getting back to where we was, Casey.
Yeah?
Where'd they find this stick-up guy, Holden?
on Beechnut Road, Edward.
A car had run over his chest and kept on going.
Gee, this morning he lifts $30,000 at the point of a gun, and this afternoon he's in the morgue. That's justice the way she ought to be.
I'm not so sure of that.
Why?
Well, Casey gave this Holden a lift in his car about 3 weeks ago and convinced himself that Holden was a reformed character.
And that kid was on the level when he talked to me. I can't see him doing it.
He's been positively identified. And the $100 bills found in his body had the serial numbers of bills noted by the bank that made up the payroll.
But the total wad found on Holden's body amounted to less than $600, Annie. Now, what happened to the balance of that $30,000?
Well, he hid it somewhere, of course.
He had plenty of time after the robbery, Casey.
Sure, there was time enough.
Well?
Annie, 2 other ex-cons who got a break from Maddox have gone sour during the past year.
And how? And if Maddox is smart, he'll give criminal reform up as a bad job.
Wait a minute. Those 2 other ex-cons weren't captured alive either. Both of them were found dead, just like Ben Holden.
Well, so what? One was shot by the cops when he tried to get away, and the other committed suicide when it looked like he was going to be captured.
Very little of the dough that those guys stole was found on their bodies.
Well, they...
Sure. They'd hidden it somewhere, just like Holden.
Yeah. It is a little funny.
Say it is, so to speak, Casey. It's a peculiar coincidence.
Yeah. Say, Annie, let's you and me go down to Homicide Bureau and have a talk with Logan. I got a hunch.
Casey, I'm afraid I'm buying this hunch of yours.
Well, that's something from you, Logan.
You mean, Captain, that you don't think Ben Holden committed that payroll robbery either?
On the evidence, he must have committed it, Miss Williams. I want to know why. I've looked up Holden's record. He was a model prisoner. The prison authorities were very favorably impressed with his good intentions when he was discharged. Now, what made him go sour?
Yeah, that's what's got me going down. You looked up the records of the other 2 guys who went sour after they got a break from Maddox?
No, not yet. Have you?
Uh-huh, yes. On paper, they seem pretty good Joes, until after they got a job for Maddox.
Now, Casey, you're not implying that Asa
I'm
Maddox...
merely implying there's been a 3-time coincidence, Annie.
But Mr. Maddox is... Well, he's a first citizen. He's helped hundreds of ex-convicts who've made good.
The coincidence still remains, Miss Williams. 3 of his protégés have gone bad. They were killed, and only a small fraction of their hold-up loot was recovered. Now, maybe that's merely a coincidence, but... Al, I'm going to plant an undercover man in Maddox's place.
One of your headquarters dicks?
Who else?
Oh, Logan, wait a minute. He wouldn't get to first base. Outside of Maddox himself, every guy in that big estate is an ex-con. Those babies recognize cops like you do.
Well, naturally detail the guy who was unknown to anyone there.
They'll get wise to him.
Of course, you have a better idea than mine.
Sure. Let me be the undercover guy.
You?
Oh, that's it.
Oh, Casey, you'd never get away with it either.
Maddox doesn't know me. I've never run into any of his present staff of ex-cons. And I know a lot about the inside of prison. Remember, I once took a phony rap in order to get the goods on a certain guy.
And in order to get an exclusive for your lousy paper. But, of course, you're not thinking of anything like that now.
Certainly not. I offer my services purely and nobly in the cause of justice.
Yeah, nuts.
Of course, if I do get an exclusive, the Express gives me a raise for getting it. Well, look, you want to see me get along, don't you, pal?
Yeah, but I'm not saying where to.
Oh, come on. Break down, tough guy. Give me a go-ahead.
Well, because of your talent for being lucky, compensate your shortage of intelligence. Okay.
Thanks, and not only for your kind words.
You're going to Maddox as an ex-convict, Casey?
Why, sure.
You'll have to appear as recently discharged from an out-of-state prison, one that none of the real ex-cons at Maddox's place have been in.
Sure, we'll check up on their records.
And we'll make a very thorough checkup. Also, when we pick your prison alma mater, you'll be well coached on what goes on there.
Well, I learn quickly.
Well, the only men Maddox helps are those sent to him with recommendations by the Welfare Foundation. Will they cooperate with you, Captain?
100%, Miss Williams.
It'll take only a short time to work the bugs out of our scheme. Then I'll start for Mr. Asa Maddox's place.
Morning.
I'd like to see Mr. Maddox.
Who are you?
Who are you?
My name is Eggles, punk. Mr. Maddox's butler.
Yeah? Thought all butlers had English accents.
So you got your education from the movies.
Tough guy, huh?
No, at least not anymore. If you are, punk, you come to the wrong joint. What's your name?
Stacy.
Huh?
Dan Stacy. Foundation Center.
Well, why didn't you say so right away? Come on in, Stacy. The boss is expecting you.
Ah, thanks, Mr.
Eggles. Plain Eggles.
Eggles.
Hey, just get out of the Stillwater pen, huh?
Yeah.
I'm a graduated dynamoric.
Hey, that's a real tough one, I guess.
It softened me up. If that ain't happened to you, you don't belong here.
No?
No. Mr. Maddox is a grand guy. He's going to give you a job here. Oh, he's had some disappointments lately. 3 of them. You show signs of being a disappointment, pal. You're going to wish you never left Stillwater.
Well, that's the way it is, huh?
That's the way it is. Not only with me, but there's a few other ex-cons here who feel the same. Come on, Stacy. I'll take you into Mr. Maddox.
You know, few of us wear the same clothes every day, and yet millions of families have breakfast, lunch, and dinner week after week, month after month from the same plates and dishes and platters. So why not make your meals more interesting and appetizing by changing your tableware? Now, you can now do it today at an almost ridiculously low price. Anchor Hocking has developed a brand new kind of dinnerware called Jadeite, spelled Jadeite, Jadeite. And Jadeite's delicate jade green color harmonizes with any table decoration. But Jadeite's beauty is the subject for 2 reasons. 1, Jadeite is heat-proof. Yes, as heat-proof as the Fire King oven glass you use for baking. And second, a complete 35-piece Jadeite dinner service for 6 costs less than $5, including 6 cups, 6 saucers, 6 dessert plates, 6 salad plates, 6 dinner plates, a vegetable bowl, a platter, and a sugar and creamer set. Now, you'll also find Jadeite in open stock at chain stores, department stores, hardware stores, and all other stores selling chinaware and glass. Jadeite is the newest triumph of Anchor Hocking. The most famous name in glass.
The Welfare Foundation has recommended you very highly, Mr. Stacy, so I'm putting you to work here.
Thanks, Mr. Maddox.
Your job will be a small one at first, but you'll find every opportunity for advancement.
I hope I can make good, sir.
Oh, I'm sure you will.
You know the swell start I've made if it's out of prison.
I might have been in prison had I not been lucky, Mr. Stacy. The difference between you and me has been only a matter of circumstance.
That's the way you figure.
Yes. Let's see. I made a pencil note of the employment I meant to give you. Dear, I'm so absent-minded. What did I think of it? Shirley.
Yes, Mr. Maddox?
What did I do with that note I made about... please excuse me. Miss Reed, allow me to present Mr. Stacy.
Reed?
Miss Reed is my private secretary. Also, she's the daughter of an old and very dear friend of mine. Shirley, where is that...
Here it is, Mr. Maddox. Mr. Stacy is to work in the garage as assistant to Butch Franzen.
Oh, yes. Butch Franzen is my chief chauffeur, Mr. Stacy. Shirley, will you take my new friend Stacy to my old friend Butch and introduce them?
Gladly, Mr. Maddox. Will you come with me, Mr. Stacy?
Gladly, Miss Reed. Maddox, it's been a privilege to meet you.
Well, mine is the privilege, my boy. Good luck.
Thank you, sir. Quite a guy.
Yes, all of us here think so. You're from Stillwater, Mr. Stacy.
Yeah, Minnesota.
They treat you well out there?
Not too bad.
My father died in Joliet.
Yeah?
Mr. Maddox is only our kind around him.
Hey, you haven't...
No, I've never been in prison.
I didn't think so. Not with that face.
You're pretty direct.
Why not?
I haven't an answer to that one. You did your stretch for armed robbery.
Yeah, that's right.
Get much?
$20 in 5 years.
Sucker, weren't you?
And how?
Going to be one again?
No.
Just stick to that. You'll be okay. You won't like washing and greasing cars under Butch Franzen. He's tough.
Oh, I worked with tough guys before.
I can soften him up for you.
I think you could soften almost anyone up, Blondie.
Including yourself?
Go to work on me and see.
Thanks. But Mr. Maddox keeps me pretty busy.
When you have a little time to spare, look me up.
Maybe I will.
Hey, Stacy.
Yeah, here I am, Butch.
Driving the boss into town. While I'm gone, wash and polish the station wagon. And I mean wash and polish.
Okay.
Blue convertible needs a clean-up job, too.
I'll take care of it.
Now get right at it. So long.
So long.
Hi, Butch.
Oh, hello, Eagles.
The Maddox is ready for his car.
All right, I'm taking it to him right now.
Hi, Stacy.
Oh, hi, Eccles. Don't see much of you back here in the garage.
I always get plenty to do at the house. How you like things here, Stacy?
Swell.
Yeah, what you like best is the boss's secretary, ain't it?
What do you mean?
You and Shirley Reed have been seeing quite a bit of each other.
Any rule here says we shouldn't?
No, there ain't no rule, but you can't afford a babe like Shirley in what you're making here.
So what?
So 3 other guys who fell for her went out and pulled jobs that landed them on morgue slabs. This is a friendly tip, chum. Watch your step.
Thanks.
Hey, Stacy, when you was at Stillwater, did you meet up with a guy named Ross Taylor?
What? No.
Well, it's a big pen. I guess there were a lot of guys there you didn't meet.
Yeah, that's right.
Shirley told you about Ben Holden? Guy we had here who pulled that payroll stick-up?
Everybody's here. Everybody's told me about him except Mr. Maddox.
You know, Shirley had a little hard luck the day Holden pulled that job and then got accidentally killed. She drove home with a dented front fender.
Dented front fender?
Yeah, she'd run into something with that sporty roadster of hers. A post, she said. Butch fixed the fender for her so it looks like new again. Well, I gotta be getting back to the house. I got a lot of work to do this afternoon. So long.
Yes, so long.
Oh, Stacy, it's funny you didn't meet up with Ross Taylor out at Stillwater. He's the prison doctor. So long again.
Casey, you think the butler Eggles is wise to him?
He practically told me he is, Logan. But at the same time, he tipped me off about the dented fender. I got outside of this pay station as soon as I could to pass you on the word.
You figure Eggles is playing on our side?
He's playing Maddox's side. Eggles obviously believes that Shirley Reed's car was a hit and run that killed Holden. That she's the works behind those 3 stick-ups. I think Holden and those other guys, those other 2 guys, fell for this babe so hard that they were willing to do anything she suggested.
You think that guy, Butch Franson's in the deal with her?
Well, there's an understanding of some sort between her and Butch, Logan. And he fixed that dented fender, don't forget.
Well, play the 2 of them along, pal, but watch your step.
Yeah, I'm doing that little thing every minute.
And when or if you've got a suggestion from her about a stick-up, get in touch with me right away. We'll throw a little surprise party.
Yeah. So, I gotta get back to the garage now. Polish a couple of cars.
That I'd love to see.
I'll bet you would.
Now, remember, you asked for this job, and it can't be too tough. It's never hard to play romantic with a glamorous blonde, even though you think she's loaded with trouble.
Logan, look, have you told Annie Williams about everything?
I've had 2. You know how interested she is in what you're doing. She's especially interested in the blonde angle, pal.
Play that blonde angle down, will you, pal? Way down.
Good morning, Stacy.
Well, Shirley, that is an unexpected pleasure. I hoped to see you before evening.
You wouldn't have if Mr. Maddox hadn't phoned from town a little while ago. He wants you to do an errand for him.
Okay.
You're to go to this address and pick up a package of jewelry he's ordered for his niece.
What does he want me to pick up jewelry for?
Well, it's his way of showing his trust in you.
I see.
I'm driving into town, Stacy. I'll take you to the place if you like.
I never miss a chance of being with you.
This trip will be strictly for business purposes, big boy.
Oh, just like that.
Definitely. Now, get my car out and let's go.
Well, I have to tell Butch I'm going.
Oh, he already knows. He was in the house when I got Mr. Maddox's message.
Well, then I'll pull out the car. That's a snappy little bus, this sport roadster of yours.
It's getting pretty old. It's a 39.
Looks like it just came out of the factory. Guess you never had any accidents with it.
Oh, I've dented a couple of fenders, that's all.
Recently?
No, not for over a year.
Now, you're lucky. Well, get in. You want to drive or shall I?
I will. I like to drive men.
front of the side door of the building, Stacy. Here.
Yeah.
Now, the man you're to see, Mr. LeBlanc, is a wholesale diamond merchant. His offices are on the second floor.
I see.
Mr. Maddox left this sealed envelope with Eggles before I came to work this morning, and absent-mindedly forgot to tell me anything about it. Here. It's addressed to Mr. LeBlanc, and I imagine it's to identify you, so you'll be given the package.
Just send the note in to LeBlanc, huh?
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know, Shirley, a gal like you ought to have some nice jewelry.
When I get it, it's going to be bought and paid for by a man whom I'm certain isn't a crook.
You mean that?
What do you think?
Babe, I wish I knew.
Come on now. Get up to Mr. LeBlanc and hurry back with that package.
Yeah, okay.
Second floor, remember. And hurry.
Yeah, I will. Yeah. I wish I knew. Mr. Blank, Mr. Maddox sent me.
Close the door, Stacy. I'll get the package for you.
Okay.
It's in my safe. Just one moment while I open it.
Right.
I suppose you're one of Mr. Maddox's ex-convicts, since he doesn't hire anyone else.
Yeah. You're taking a big chance opening that safe when you're alone with an ex-con, aren't you?
I have a burglar alarm. Here is the package.
Would you want me to sign for it?
But that's unnecessary. I have Mr. Maddox's note, which amounts to a receipt. See. Good day, Stacy.
Hey, so long, Mr. LeBlanc.
Oh, Stacy.
Eggles, what are you doing here?
Here to keep you out of trouble, bud. Come on down these stairs and hurry.
What trouble?
Shirley brought you here, didn't she? She's waiting for you outside.
Yes.
Already tipped you that she's trouble.
But I don't see what...
You will very soon. Come on, pile into a car there. I'm joining you.
Eggles?
Yeah, I'm giving a surprise party, Shirley. Start this bus and then step on the gas.
Well, why...
Do like I say. Like this gun says.
Eggles.
Keep your shirt on, Stacy. You know whose side I'm on.
Yes, but...
Start the car, Toots, and get moving.
All right.
Turn right at the next corner, then head for River Road.
I'd like an explanation of this.
Yeah, I can stand one, too.
Listen, there's your explanation.
What? The burglar alarm.
From the building we just left.
Yeah, it's in LeBlanc's place. He just set it going.
Why?
Because you just robbed him, Stacy.
What?
That's what he's going to say. Hand over that package he gave you, mister.
I'm beginning to get this setup.
I thought you would.
I don't get
You're not smart, Shirley. Give me that package, Stacy.
The gun of yours doesn't give me much choice. All right, here. How much is in it?
$100,000. You're not set diamonds, that'll be very hard to trace.
LeBlanc collects the insurance on them, and you and he split the diamonds, too.
That's the play.
You had the same deal with the paymaster who accused Holden of robbing him, and with the other holdup that...
Uh-huh. Holden's seen going into that paymaster's office. Then he goes out with a package he's been given for Mr. Maddox. I meet him and take him away. Nobody but me and the paymaster know that Holden's been tricked into going there on a fake errand. It's like I tricked you into giving Stacy a phony letter to LeBlanc, Shirley, that I said was from the boss who just phoned me.
Oh.
Holden never had a chance to explain what really happened because you made him meet with an accident, Eggles.
That's right. Swell little scheme, huh, wise guy?
Well, it was until this LeBlanc job. Now you slipped up plenty.
Yeah, how?
Because I haven't got a record. I've never been a con.
You haven't?
No. The cops aren't going to believe that I robbed LeBlanc, Eggles.
Hey, you're not so bright either, Gumshoe. Why do you think I made you suspect Shirley here?
Suspect me?
He had you figured as a very bad doll, Toots. So, of course, he reported the hints I dropped about you to the cops. They'll think he stuck up LeBlanc at your suggestion. You try to rub him out, then when they find both you and him dead, Shirley, they'll think you knocked each other off. After you'd managed to hide these diamonds.
You've done a pretty good job of figuring, Eggles. But you shouldn't have made me believe that this car of Shirley's had been used in connection with the holdups and murders.
Yeah, what's that got to do with...
This is a gun you feel at the back of your neck, Eggles.
What's going on?
You get him, I'll blow your head off.
Okay, don't shoot.
I got his gun, Lieutenant. Good. All right, stop the car, Shirley.
I am.
So you Got a cop hiding in a rumble seat, huh?
That's right. He heard everything you said.
Which is more than enough to burn you 3 times, Eggles.
Thought if I was invited to go places in this car, I'd be more comfortable with a cop back there. So several good guys have been taking turns.
You thought I was behind those holdups and murders. You thought I was a traitor to Mr. Maddox, who's treated me like a daughter.
Well, anybody can make mistakes.
No! Get out of this car.
We want you to drive us and our prisoner to headquarters, miss.
I'll drive you and your prisoner, Lieutenant. But this person, this Stacy, he's going to get out and walk.
We'll join the crowd at the Blue Note in just a moment. You know, in the old days, a rich, steaming cup of coffee meant fuss, bother, and lots of things to be cleaned up afterward. But those days are gone. Gone, because now you can enjoy delicious coffee through the amazing invention of soluble coffee. A spoonful of this new kind of coffee in the cup, hot water, and there you are. Delicious coffee, quick as you can say Anchor Glass. And Anchor Glass helps bring you the convenience of soluble coffee, because 2/3 of the packers of soluble coffee protect their products against harmful moisture by using clean, sanitary Anchor Glass containers and Anchor caps. The cap that comes off with a twist of the wrist and goes on again just as easily to protect the flavor and freshness of the coffee. Yes, today you can enjoy delicious hot coffee in a split second with flavor protected by sanitary Anchor Glass containers. A product of Anchor Hocking. The most famous name in glass.
So you had a nice long walk, Casey, huh?
Sure did. I couldn't get a cab, Ethelbert. There was a strike on the bus lines. And my feet were darn near frozen by the time I got the express over.
Oh, I'm so sorry for you, Casey.
Well,
And not only because of your poor, tired feet. Beautiful, glamorous Shirley says she'll never speak to you again.
Look, Annie, you know very well that my only interest in that gal was...
Of course. You were merely trying to solve a crime and to get an exclusive for the paper.
Why, of course.
But you had a nice, cozy time investigating that blonde and getting the wrong answers.
Blondes. Wow. Oh, I don't know what there is about them.
I do.
What?
You silly men.
Crime Photographer, starring Stotts Cotsworth as Casey, is brought to you each Thursday by the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation, makers of Fire King Oven Glass, Anchor Glass Containers, Anchor Caps and Closures, all products of Anchor Hocking, the most famous name in glass. Crime Photographer is directed by John Dietz and is based on the fictional character of Casey, created by George Harmon Cox. Original music is by Archie Blyer, and the program features Miss Jan Miner as Ann and John Gibson as Ethelbert. Herman Chittison is the Blue Note pianist. If you'd like to serve with America's foremost military organization and yet remain at home as a civilian, sign up as a citizen Marine with the Organized Marine Corps Reserve. Inquire at your local Marine Corps recruiting office today. This is Tony Marvin saying goodnight for the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, with offices in all principal cities of the United States and Canada. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
This I believe. No reporter living outranks my friend John Gunther for perception and achievement. His series of Inside books, Inside Europe, Inside USA, and so on, have had worldwide currency and appear destined to become classics in their field. Here is John Gunther in a statement of his personal beliefs.
Some years ago, the British novelist E.M. Forster wrote an essay which began with the words, "I do not believe in belief." This pungent phrase reflected the mood of the debunking era. Einstein upset our belief in conventional mathematics and physics. Freud and Pavlov played havoc with the concept of romantic love, and Spengler modified much of our faith in history. Even in the fine arts, my generation grew up in an atmosphere of destruction and revolt. Picasso broke up light, James Joyce broke up language. That some of these men were sublime artists, and that the older, more placid forms thoroughly needed revivification and change, added to the intellectual convulsion of the years in which we grew up. But, if I may say so without pretension, I've always been able to believe in a good deal, even in a world largely bereft of belief. Modern scientists and philosophers have ruthlessly assaulted the old standards, but that doesn't interfere with what seems to be my own belief in the dignity, decency, and, should I say, educatability of man. I dislike using so many big words, but let me proceed. I hate cruelty, therefore I believe in humanity and justice. I hate oppression, therefore I believe in freedom. I hate vulgarity, therefore I believe in balance, clarity, and grace. I hate tub-thumping, hypocrisy, greed, and false-face, so I believe in order, sequence, moderation. Above all, I hate irrationality, distortion, the wanton abuse of truth to achieve ignoble ends. Therefore, I believe in reason, that is, truth. But abstractions like these need to be pinned down and defined. This one cannot do in 600 words. I believe very firmly in definition. Also, it's quite clear that these abstractions have no meaning whatever outside the enclosing body of one's own self. Logically, before believing in anything else at all, I'm compelled to believe in my own self, whatever its manifest imperfections and shortcomings, or my life would hardly be worth living. I believe it was William James who said that the chief value and virtue of life was to give you a chance to do something that will outlast it. And I believe that you have to earn happiness because happiness, at least for me, lies mostly in achievement, the consciousness of full effort and concentration applied to a task, whether the task is successfully completed or not. In other words, though I'm one of the laziest of men, I believe in work. Also, let me see, I suppose one must believe in things one likes, such as sunshine, watching tennis, Beethoven, good food, good talk, and the sonnets of John Donne. I don't have much interest in formal theology, but I don't think that I'm irreligious. I have a fairly marked ethical sense, and of course I believe in love, which should be the foundation of all religions. I believe that we're all part of a universe that has certain forms, patterns, interrelations, and compensations, even for the worst of personal tragedies. But I do not know enough to know why I think this. In other words, the idea of God is a wonderfully convenient abstraction through which we can satisfy our yearning for order in the universe. And if things go wrong, the concept of God not only can give us hope and succor, but since the universe is too big for most of us to comprehend, it also relieves us of some responsibility. Of course I believe in God, but my approach is human, not celestial, in that I think that man made God, not vice versa.
That was John Gunther, one of the world's great reporters, telling his personal beliefs.
Crime does not pay.
How long are we going to hang around here, Stan?
I'm giving him 5 more minutes.
Nice wood, nice bricks, lovely roofing. They'll look good on the school and better on the kind of house we're investing in.
What's the laugh? I told those bums to have men here.
Well, I didn't mean nothing, Stan. They wouldn't dare not send the men over.
It looks like they're daring. What are they? Nothing but a bunch of two-for-a-nickel dumbheads who can lay bricks or put up a roof.
Well, don't get sore at me, Stan. I ain't done nothing.
I've waited for them long enough. Come on, Hod. We're going places.
Anything you say, boss.
I say we're going to find out who's running things around here. And if the answer ain't Stan Dawson, somebody's going to get hurt. Somebody's going to get hurt. Bad.
In the interest of good citizenship and law enforcement, we present Crime Does Not Pay, based on the famous Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer series of short subjects. In just a moment, you will hear Building Blocks, starring Richard Durr. Now, Crime Does Not Pay, starring Richard Durr as Stan Dawson in Building Blocks. At the turn of the century, the term was graft. Today, the term is racket. 50 years ago, misappropriation of public funds was a practice confined to a few corrupt politicians. Today, such activity is part and parcel of organized crime, founded on the same methods which enable the underworld to creep into so much of everyday life: intimidation, terror, and death. Stan Dawson was considered a smart cookie in the district where he operated. He and his lieutenant, Hod Westby, were unknown to the vast majority of the plain people in whose midst they lived. They certainly were unknown to Tom Benson, Whitey Walker, and their comrades in the building trades, until the day when Tom, Whitey, and the rest of the union board met to discuss new work for which contracts had just been signed.
All right, men, discussion's open.
Tom?
Whitey Walker has the floor.
Just a question, Mr. Chairman. Will the new school building mean bigger income to the union?
Well, it can, and it may not.
How so?
Well, it seems to me if putting up the new school means just a few jobs, then the men working on it, well, they'll be only paid-up members. It won't bring in any more dues. But if there are a lot of jobs, well, men behind in their dues will be paying up and will be taking in more new members, too.
Well, has anybody seen the plans? How big a job is it?
The plans are filed at the city hall. Plenty big, Whitey. Plenty.
Then it should be good for a lot of people.
If you're talking about the new school, it'll be good for you. If you fellas do like I ask.
This is a private meeting, gentlemen. Strangers are not allowed.
Get him, Hod. Strangers not allowed.
Yeah, get him. The big shot.
You want to see us? Wait outside.
Shut up, you.
You heard the boss, didn't you?
I said shut up. I came here for a purpose. You listen.
Do we have to take this, Tom?
I don't see why.
You'll see why. Now listen. I'm Stan Dawson. This is Hod Westby.
Never heard of you.
You have now, smart guy, and if you know what's good for you, you'll listen, see? Accidents have happened before on new buildings. Guys can get killed on scaffolds.
We don't have to listen to your threats, Mr. Dawson, whoever you may be.
Sit down, shut up.
I'm the chairman here.
Now get this. I'm running the building trades racket in this town, see? Okay, you get it now, do you? Well, get this, too. I'm declaring myself in on the new school. Truckman's organization has learned its lesson. They're cooperating with me, see? Tell them, Hod.
A truckload of bricks can make an awful mess of a man when the steering gear goes bad all of a sudden.
Understand? Okay. So here's the pitch. The truckers will see to it that I get the building materials where I want them. You characters are going to see to it that I get the labor to build me some nice places out of that material when and where I want it. Everybody on the school job donates one day's work to me, Stan Dawson. You'll be on the city payroll, but you'll work for me. You'll work for me, that is, if you know what's good for you. I'll let you know when and where. What you so surprised about? Look at them, Hod. A real bunch of dummies. They never heard of this racket before. Okay, Mr. Dodge, you got the lot. 6 of them. I'll pay cash.
I think you ought to understand, Mr. Dawson, the land and that development is reasonable because building materials are so scarce hereabouts.
I'll worry about the building materials. You give me the lots. How much?
$50 apiece, be all right?
$300 cash. I'll take title right away. Mr. Dodge, I'm a fast operator. I'm going to have houses on those lots before you can say I'm a bricklayer.
Mr. Dawson.
Drop in any place. The carpenters will take care of it for me.
Okay, Mr. Dawson. They usually like the wood off in one corner of the lot. Like about here?
And start unloading. Hod will give you a hand, won't you, Hod?
Me? Handle them planks?
Oh, you're big and strong, aren't you, Hard? And if that driver's nice enough to deliver us a load of lumber to this lot like he's going to deliver bricks tomorrow and roofing the day after like we planned, the least we can do is give him a hand unloading, see?
How long are we going to hang around here, Stan?
I'm giving him 5 minutes more.
Nice wood, nice bricks, lovely roofing. They'll look good on a school and better on the kind of house we're investing in.
What's the laugh? I told those bums to have men here.
Well, I didn't mean nothing, Stan. They wouldn't dare not send men over.
Looks like they're daring. What are they? Nothing but a bunch of two-for-a-nickel dumbheads who can lay bricks and put up a roof.
Well, don't get sore at me, Stan. I ain't done nothing.
I've waited for them long enough. Come on, Hod. We're going places.
Yeah. Anything you say, boss.
I say we're going to find out who's running things around here. If the answer ain't Stan Dawson, somebody's going to get hurt. Somebody's going to get hurt. Bad. Okay, Benson, you too, Walker.
Oh, it's you, Dawson. Why don't you and your hoodlums shut that door, Dawson, with yourselves on the outside?
Still a wise guy, aren't you, Walker?
Wise enough not to play ball with bums like you?
Should I let him have it, boss? Not yet, Hod. But he'll learn. They all do.
State your business, Dawson, and
you know
out.
my business. I want this union to assign men to my jobs.
Are you prepared to pay the regular scale?
Are you kidding?
Look, Dawson, we're not sending any men from the school job over to your lots on city time. Get it through your thick head.
Save the name-calling, Walker. We've got special treatment for characters like you.
I've been laying bricks for 20 years. Hoodlums don't scare me.
Let me have a
I'll
boss.
handle this. Now get this straight, Benson. I bought me some lots, see? The truck drivers got sense. When I tell them one load a day gets delivered to my lots, by mistake, they do like they're told. So I got all the material I need. From roofers to plumbing, from flooring to electric fixtures. The city will never miss the stuff. Now, I want that material put together into houses on my lots. I want your men to do that building 1 day a week each while they're on the city payroll, period. Get those men on my jobs, Benson, and I ain't kidding. That's all. Come on, Hod.
Tom.
Yes, dear?
What's wrong, Tom?
Nothing, Grace. Nothing. And what'd you do that for?
Because I want to talk to you, dear.
What about?
I want to know what's been on your mind these past few weeks.
Well, not a thing, Grace. Not a thing.
That's not so. I've been married to you for 15 years. I know when something's wrong. Is it the school job?
School's going up fine. Lots of men working. Good thing for the whole town.
Is there graft, Tom?
I suppose so. The city contract.
But I thought you and the union were going to fight graft, Tom.
We are.
But...
No but.
There is. Someplace. There's something wrong, and I mean to find out what it is. I'll get it.
No, I'll go.
Very well, Tom, but you don't get off that easily.
Hi, Benson.
Yeah, hiya.
I'll see you at the office. You'll see us here. Now, keep out of my home. Don't be childish, Benson. That's better. Nice of you to invite us in.
Yeah, real nice.
What do you want? Workmen. In my house. You know that, Benson.
Is anything wrong, Tom? Oh, excuse me.
You can stay, lady.
Yeah, you can stay.
Grace, go back into the living room. I said she stays.
But I don't understand.
Not necessary. Oh, but it is. You see, Mrs. Benson, your husband is refusing to cooperate with the Building Contractors Protective Association, of which I happen to be president. And my friend here is executive secretary.
The Contractors Protective Association? What's that?
We protect contractors against unions like your husband's that refuse to let men work on certain jobs.
Tom? You don't let men work? Well, that's not
You
right.
don't understand.
This isn't a legitimate job.
But the contract is. You better tell me, Tom.
Go on, Benson. Tell her about it the way you see it.
This man has stolen building materials from the school job. He wants the union to send men over to build for him while they're on city time. Well, that's stealing, too, and we'll have no part of it.
So this is why you... Tom, I think these men are leaving.
That's only your husband's way of telling the story, Mrs. Benson. Oh, I think he'll see it all differently. In a few minutes.
Let go of me.
Take your hands off my wife.
Work him over, huh?
With pleasure. Why, you... Hold still and quiet, lady. You know what I'm supposed to know. You dirty, rotten thing. Your breath. You need it. Oh.
Tom.
Attaboy, Hart.
Tom.
Chicken. I'm going to break a rib or two.
Tom.
Well, that do it, boss?
Yeah, okay.
Tom, darling.
Shut up, you. I want your husband to hear this. I'm going to say it only once. Now, this is an order, Benson. I want men on my lots. Get them over there. Understand? No men, and your wife gets what you got, with trimmings. In fact, get over to my place yourself, Monday, a.m. That's all. You know what's good for you. You'll do like you're told. Let's go, Hart.
In just a moment, Crime Does Not Pay will continue with Building Blocks. Now we continue with Crime Does Not Pay, starring Richard Durr as Stan Dawson in Building Blocks. The Benson household was an angry and fearful place after Stan and Hod slammed the door behind them. Grace helped her husband to his bed, torn between fear for him and anger at the men who dared to terrorize decent people in this manner. Tom nursed his bruises, controlled his anger, and found himself full of fear for Grace. The following Monday, Tom made up his mind and led some of his friends to Stan Dawson's lots to begin work on the new houses. It was a day or two later, back on the job at the new school building, that Whitey stopped Tom on the scaffolding.
Just a minute, Tom.
I gotta get up to the next level.
You can talk a minute.
I can't. I gotta hurry.
Why? Because you wasted time on Dawson's lot the other day?
So what if I did?
Look, Tom, you're the boss in our local. The other men follow you. And you're leading in the wrong direction, Tom. Why?
None of your business. Now let me get up above.
It is my business. Like a lawyer says, you're compounding a felony. I asked my neighbor's boy about that. He looked it up in a law book he studied.
It's still my business.
Well, so long as you drag other guys in with you, it's everybody's business. I'm sore, Tom. I'm not going to stand for it.
The truckmen are.
I know about them. I don't know why they're doing it. But it still doesn't mean you can do the exact opposite from what we decided at the board meeting.
Well, maybe I know why the truckmen are doing what they're doing.
I don't care why they're doing anything.
Whitey, that shiner I was wearing, the tape on my ribs right now. You think I fell off a ladder, maybe?
Maybe you did.
And maybe I took a beating.
It wouldn't be the first time. In the old days...
In the old days, I didn't have a wife.
Look, I know Grace, Tom. If Grace knew what you're doing...
Grace doesn't know about anybody except me.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If Grace knew what was happening, she'd be as sore as I am. Why don't you tell her?
She's scared enough now.
Well, she'd be a little more scared, but you could talk to the guys. They'd go along with you.
They got families, too.
Nuts, Tom. I think you've gone chicken. Well, you can stock this in your craw for what it's worth. No two-bit hoodlum is going to make Whitey Walker do anything he don't want to do. Take it or leave it.
Well, Benson, nice to see you working here. Me? Is it? Sure. It's always nice to see a man who gets wise. Isn't it, Hart? You bet, boss. Trouble is, not enough men got wise.
Now, look, Dawson, I'm doing the best I can.
The best isn't good enough. Work's going too slow on my project. School will be finished before these houses are. Then I got to go pay labor. And that's against my principles. Especially when I can get the city to pay the men for me. Isn't that right, Hart?
You sure think of every gimmick, boss.
So I want more men over here, Benson. And I want Whitey Walker with him.
I talked to Whitey. He's stubborn.
Maybe I should talk to Whitey.
He still won't come.
And until he comes, his buddies won't come either.
Maybe this Whitey character needs a lesson.
Whitey's got no family. You won't get him like you got me.
Look, Benson, I'm through kidding. I want a real crew on this job tomorrow, understand?
I'll try. I can't force them.
Okay, so you can't force them. But if Walker learns his lesson...
Oh, no, I don't know.
No, but I know. Come on, Hod. School's gonna begin. For Whitey Walker. Today.
Another couple of buckets of the hot stuff and we'll have the roof pretty well finished.
Hot stuff, eh, Walker?
Beat it. Non-workers ain't allowed on the scaffolding.
Ah, but we're tourists, Walker.
Beat it.
Now, ain't you going to show us the sights up here? Like that church spire over there? And the hot stuff in the barrel down below? Now, what is that stuff, anyhow?
Don't you know pitch when you see it or smell it?
Pitch. Like tar. Say, Hod, remember that character we tarred and feathered a couple of years back?
Yeah, I sure do. Boy, did he holler. Look, I told you guys to scram. It's dangerous up here.
For us?
Yeah, for you.
How about yourself?
Oh, I've been lots higher than this.
Yeah. The higher, the longer the fall.
Save it. You don't kid me.
One question, Walker. Are you going to work on my job or aren't you?
I'm too busy earning an honest living.
You can be honest. Don't matter exactly where you work.
What would a mug like you know about what's honest? Hey, watch what you're doing.
I'm watching. You better watch how you talk to the boss.
He's not my boss. Maybe some other fellas.
Careful, Walker. Let you know when you're in the spot.
Are you kidding?
I'm not kidding. Look at yourself, talking smart. With me in front of you. Hard behind you. Nothing the other way but empty space and a barrel of pitch. Now answer me straight. Are you going to report over on my lot tomorrow morning?
No.
All right, Hod. It'll be an accident.
Hey, cut it out.
Here you go, bud. A long way down.
Bullseye, Hod. Right in the barrel.
Friends, the first business of this meeting tonight is to discuss the funeral arrangements for Whitey. Any questions before we start?
Yes, I've got a question.
Bob Harvey.
I understand Whitey was your friend and all, but I'd like to ask why Mrs. Benson is present tonight. Our board meetings are private, aren't they?
I'm glad you brought that up, Bob. Will you let my wife tell you why? Thank you. Grace?
Gentlemen, I asked Tom if I could come tonight because, well, Whitey was our best friend. We both feel guilty about his death.
Well, an accident can happen to anybody in our work, Mrs. Benson.
Accident? To Whitey? He was as sure-footed as a cat. The scaffold was as safe for him as the sidewalk is for me.
Are you suggesting that Whitey's fall was no accident, Mrs. Benson?
I know it wasn't. Tom knows it wasn't. That was no more accident than Tom's black eye and taped ribs were an accident. And Tom got those in the front hall of our house when Stan Dawson and Hod Westby paid us a visit one night.
Tom, is that why you said it was okay for us to work over on those lots?
Why, I had to. They said they'd hurt Grace. I should have called their bluff. Whitey'd be alive today.
You should have told us. Since when can hoodlums like Dawson pull stuff like this on decent working guys? I move we turn him over to the cops.
But there's no real evidence. Only my word that Dawson threatened to teach Whitey a lesson.
But you can get the evidence.
Get it? How?
You can find a way. You'll think about it. You've got to. You know what they'll say about your union. Racketeer controlled, all that if you don't. There must be a way to get Dawson and Westby, both of them. I won't rest. Whitey won't rest until you find it.
I got your call, Benson. You want us? Yeah. You and your boy, both of you. We're here. Yep, we sure are. I want to talk private. Come over here. What's up? You trying to shake down Benson? Of course not. I just thought it'd be more private over here near the pitch barrel.
Well, it's awful hot here, ain't it?
You work up above, you get plenty chilly. Don't feel hot down here. Okay. This is private enough. What's on your mind? A little contribution. Oh, hiya, Bob. Maybe Stan and Hod here might want to contribute to Whitey's funeral. Flowers or something. It is a shakedown.
Oh, nothing of the kind. I saw you talking to Whitey the day he fell. We thought you might want to send regrets. You must have been friends of his.
Hey, what's the crowd collecting for? I don't see no crowd. Do you, Bob? Hey, what gives here?
No, Tom, I don't see anything. Just the guys I work with who kind of miss their buddy.
Of course, they've got their tools with them. Hammers, chisels, trowels. You know, Stan, that a trowel has a mighty sharp point?
And I sort of seem to see some bricks around, too.
What do you think you're doing now?
Oh, nothing. Just pushing you back toward the pitch barrel and the fire.
You dumb. Hey, he's got a gun.
He had a gun. Now he's got only a busted hand.
I'll take care of you all. Hey, quit coming. You'll get me burned. You'll get me burned.
You want to go into the barrel hard like Whitey did?
Well, what do you want? I didn't do nothing. Stan pushed him. Stan just... Why, you dare? Will you tell that to the cops, Westby, will you? Yeah, sure. I'll talk. Don't hurt me. Don't hurt me.
Okay. There we are. Vito, Riley, Matt, hold these mugs while we call the cops. Okay. Everybody else, back on the job. Come on, man. Three of us ought to be able to hold two of these. 3 of us, that is. And a barrel of pitch.
Crime does not pay. Richard Durr, who starred as Stan Dawson in Building Blocks, will be back with you in just a moment. Now here in person is Richard Durr.
I think the moral of this story is rather obvious. As it happens, it does not lie with Stan Dawson, although his kind are all too numerous everywhere. To me, it lies with Tom Benson and his friend. Whitey had to die before they realized the truth, that when the decent folk like you and me play along, even a little, the costs skyrocket in terms of money, graft, taxes, corruption, let alone in terms of self-respect and even of life itself. Sometimes it takes too long for the decent citizens to become aware that for themselves as well as for the criminal, crime does not pay.
Thank you, Mr. Durr. Crime Does Not Pay is written by Ira Marion and directed by Marks V. Loeb, with music composed and conducted by John Garth. Technical advisor is Burton B. Turkis. The events, characters, and names used in the story you've just heard are fictitious. Any similarity is purely coincidental. This is Bob Williams speaking.
This I believe. John Hughes is a New York taxi driver who lives in the Bronx with his wife and daughter. He's come up the hard way. Born in Ireland 55 years ago, he was orphaned at the age of 2. He was raised on an uncle's farm where he worked for his board and keep. For the past 35 years, he has steered a cab through the streets of Manhattan. Here is his creed.
I believe honesty is one of the greatest gifts there is. I know they call it a lot of fancy names these days, like integrity and forthrightness. But it doesn't make any difference what they call it. It's still what makes a man a good citizen. This is my code, and I try to live by. I've been in the taxicab business for 35 years, and I know there is a lot about it that is not so good. Taxicab drivers have to be rough and tumble fellows to be able to take it in New York. You've got to be tough to fight the New York traffic 8 hours a day these days. Because taxi drivers are tough, people get the wrong impression. They are bad. Taxi drivers are just like other people. Most of them will shake down as honest fellows. You read in the papers almost every week where a taxi driver turns in money or jewels or bonds. Stuff like that. People leave in their cab. If they weren't honest, you wouldn't be reading those stories in the papers. One time in Brooklyn, I found an emerald ring in my cab. I remember helping a lady with a lot of bundles that day, so I went back to where I had dropped her off. It took me almost 2 days to trace her down in order to return her ring to her. I didn't get as much as thank you. Still, I felt good because I had done what was right. I think I felt better than she did. I was born and raised in Ireland and lived there until I was 19 years old. I came to this country in 1913, where I held several jobs to earn a few dollars before enlisting in World War I. After being discharged, I bought my own cab, and I've been owned one ever since. It hasn't been too easy at times, but my wife takes care of our money, and we have a good bit put away for a rainy day. When I first started driving a cab, Park Avenue was mostly a bunch of coal yards. Hofel's Brewery was right next to the walled-off Astoria is now. I did pretty well even those days. In all my years of driving a taxicab, I have never had any trouble with the public, not even with drunks. Even they get a little headstrong once in a while, I just agree with them, and then they behave themselves. People ask me about tips. As far as I know, practically everyone will give you something. Come to think of it, most Americans are pretty generous. I always try to be nice to everyone, whether they tip or not. I believe in God and try to be a good member of my parish. I try to act towards others like I think God wants me to act. I have been trying this for a long time, and the longer I try, the easier it gets.
That was a New York Irish cab driver named John Hughes, whose beliefs have worked for him both in happiness and hard times.
Calling all detectives. A woman who was tried for murder and acquitted faces a second murder charge. That is the situation on this page from my casebook, the casebook of Jerry Browning, private detective. When you're a private detective like me, Jerry Browning, the way you see people is generally at their worst. The scene of a murder, at the point when detection begins, is a picture of organized confusion.
Hey, Browning, you in on this case?
I don't know yet. There's an insurance angle I'm supposed to check for Consolidated. Harvey Trustin had been shot while working at his office in the Granite Trust Building. The scene was typical. Homicide squad men all over the place. And over in one corner of the office were the usual terrified people involved in the crime. A cleaning woman who'd found the body, Trustin's partner, Willis Canby, and the dead man's secretary, Irene Lawrence. She was a strikingly beautiful woman. Lieutenant Dawson spotted me as I came in.
Hello, Jerry. We've got this one under pretty good control.
That's fine, Dawson. What happened?
Trustin was working late in preparation for vacation. Cleaning woman says she saw a man lurking upstairs in one of the corridors. Ran down here when she spotted him. A couple of minutes later, there was this shot. Guy must have come in here, tried to hold up Trustin, and killed him when he put up a fight.
I kept looking at the secretary. Irene Lawrence. That strangely serene face was stirring a memory somewhere deep in my mind. And then it came to me. Dawson, Trustin's secretary, her name used to be Mrs. Irene Elliston. 5 years ago, she was tried for the murder of her husband and acquitted. Dawson's face clouded over. He turned to one of his men.
O'Brien, put Miss Lawrence under arrest.
What started as an investigation of a sneak thief killing took an abrupt turn when it developed that the dead man's secretary had once stood trial for the murder of her husband. At police headquarters, Dawson questioned Willis Canby, the murdered man's partner.
How long did Irene Lawrence work for your partner?
About 2 years.
Did they ever see each other outside the office?
Why, yes. As a matter of fact, Harvey told me he was planning to marry her.
He probably found out about her past, changed his mind, so she killed him.
That was as much of it as I could take. I remembered the Elliston murder case well. He'd been a painter, married Irene Lawrence, a girl he'd met in a small town. He became violently jealous of his beautiful wife, made life so miserable for her that she tried to run away, go back home. He followed her, caught her at a bus terminal. He brandished a gun. She snatched at it, and that was that. In a subsequent trial, the jury acquitted her in 20 minutes. But just the same, it was in the record. Irene Lawrence had once been tried for murder. I went on back to Consolidated Insurance, made out a report on the case. Trustin and his partner Canby had a type of business insurance that's fairly common. $50,000 in policies on the lives of each in favor of the other. Some people will do a lot for that kind of money. John Cooley, head of Consolidated Investigations Department, didn't agree with me.
The police have secured some damaging admissions from the Lawrence woman, Browning. She admits having been engaged to Trustin, admits that he found out about the other death and broke off the engagement the same day that he was killed.
Mr. Cooley, does every woman whose engagement is broken shoot the guy because he changed his mind?
Browning, I don't like your humor.
Mr. Cooley, I don't like the whole case. What happened to that sneak thief the cleaning woman saw? Nobody's even trying to find him now. There was a long pause while Cooley rubbed his jaw. Then,
all right, Browning. Go out and find him.
I had a long and unsatisfactory talk with the cleaning woman. No doubt about it, she had seen somebody. A man who kept his back turned to her, fled down the emergency stairs as she approached. Well, that was possible. Though why a thief would run in panic from an elderly woman and then invade an office where a man was working and shoot him was something I couldn't figure out. Nobody else saw the thief. Nobody reported any thefts in the building for that night. Well, that was possible, too, though not very probable. At the offices of Canby and Trustin, I got hold of the personnel manager. I wonder if you'd do me a favor. Look up your records and see how Miss Lawrence originally got the job as Mr. Trustin's secretary. The old man blinked.
It happens, I remember. Miss Lawrence originally came here to see Mr. Canby. I believe he'd met at some gathering. She worked for a short time in our foreign correspondence department and then became Mr. Trustin's secretary.
Thanks. Thanks a lot. So, Canby had introduced Irene Lawrence into the company. That was interesting. I drove across town to a firm of public accountants. I want a thorough investigation of Canby and Trustin's financial standing. They do an import and export trade with South America. There wasn't anything else I could do for a couple of days. In the meanwhile, Irene Lawrence had been charged with the murder of Harvey Trustin. In not a single newspaper account that I read was there the slightest intimation that maybe she wasn't guilty. On the third day, I got my report from the accountants. Canby and Truston were considered shaky, and Canby had been gambling and losing on foreign commodity prices. That afternoon, I waited outside the Granite Building. As Canby came out, I called to him, "Hey, Mr. Canby, somebody behind you wants to talk to you." He turned around, and in that instant, I snapped the picture with his back to me. He whirled around. "Why have you taken my picture?" "I want a photograph of you, Mr. Canby, with your back turned to see if you resemble a certain sneak thief." He dived for the camera, tried to snatch it from me. Instead, I clamped my hand over his arm. "Mr. Canby, you and I are going to police headquarters." He blustered and raged, but by now I had enough scraps of evidence to hold him long enough for the picture to be developed and hesitantly identified by the cleaning woman. By itself, that wasn't worth anything, but combined with the insurance motive, Canby's gambling, and his introduction of Irene Lawrence into the firm, we finally broke him down. What came out was what I'd suspected, that he'd deliberately tried to find an attractive woman who'd once been accused of murder and whom he could frame for a second murder that he might otherwise himself be suspected of having committed. Having found her, he gave Irene a big build-up with his partner, and then at the right moment, broke the news of her past. Yeah, sure, Irene Lawrence was released, but I hate to think of how few people remember that she was completely innocent. Like I said, in my business, you meet people at their worst. And the worst people aren't always the ones who stand accused. Listen next time to Calling All Detectives, mystery drama, mystery quiz, and a chance for you to match wits with yours truly, Jerry Browning, Private Detective.
Murder at midnight.
It's not just an ordinary cane, my dear.
Alec.
It's a sword cane, see? Calhoun used it when he killed his wife, right where you're standing.
Alec, you killed Sanders.
Exactly.
And now you're going to kill me. Yes. No. Keep away from me.
Sorry.
Keep away.
My
Midnight, the witching hour when the night is darkest, our fears the strongest, and our strength at its lowest ebb. Midnight, when the graves gape open and death strikes. How? You'll learn the answer in just a minute in The House Where Death Lived. And now, Murder at Midnight. Tales of mystery and terror by radio's masters of the macabre. Our story is a ghostly nightmare by one of radio's best-known mystery writers, Robert Newman. Its title, The House Where Death Lived. A large, rambling house on top of a hill. A house whose windows are either shuttered or broken. A rusty iron fence surrounds it, and its grounds are waste and uncared for. A car grinds slowly up the hill, stops before the main gate, and two men get out. One of them is gray-haired but vigorous. The other wears a chauffeur's uniform. They push open the heavy gate, start up the gravel path.
Quite a joint.
You could hardly expect it to be a show place after being empty for more than 10 years.
It's open.
Yes. Well, I'm glad we didn't have to force it. All right, Sanders. You can go back to the car and wait for me. I should be out in about a half an hour or so.
You mean you're going in alone?
Why, yes. Somehow I don't think you're exactly suited by temperament for psychic research.
Okay, Doc. I'll be waiting for you back in the car.
Right. Now, let's see. I suppose the best place to start would be...
Good evening.
What? Oh, I'm awfully sorry.
hope I haven't made a mistake. This is the Calhoun house, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
Oh, this is very embarrassing. I was down to see the trustees just this morning. They gave me permission to go through the place and told me that there was no one living here, that no one had lived here for many years.
As you can see, that's not quite true. Not that it matters. I lead a rather lonely life, and I'm very glad you came. I'd be more than happy to show you around.
Well, you're very kind. My name is Goff, Dr. Alexander Goff.
Dr. Goff.
For the past few years, I've been specializing in psychic research.
Oh, yes.
You've heard of me?
I'm sorry, no. But I do know that scientists, specialists in psychical research, have been interested in the house for many years. There have been several books written about it.
I read about it in the series of studies that Kinsey did. He said it was one of the most fertile fields for manifestations he'd ever come across. It has a long history of apparitions and hauntings.
That's very true. And now, would you like to look around?
I'd like that very much.
Very well. I imagine the best place to begin is with the cellar. This way.
The cellar. That's where Mrs. Calhoun was killed, wasn't it?
Yes. I keep the door locked now for that and for several other reasons.
May I?
No, wait, don't try to go down. Have you a match?
Why, yes.
There
aren't any stairs.
Exactly. That's how Mrs. Calhoun was killed. The stairs had become rotten and Calhoun took them out, put in that ladder. Mrs. Calhoun didn't know it. She tried to go down, fell, and broke her neck.
But she wasn't just killed. She was murdered, wasn't she?
Well, that's hard to say. I don't think even Calhoun could tell you whether it was deliberate or not. For a long time, people didn't even suspect what had happened. They thought that she'd run away, disappeared. However, after she was killed, Calhoun buried her down there in the cellar. You see, over there, near that big flagstone.
Oh, I see. Well, after that, there was something about a gardener, wasn't there?
Yes, Burroughs. He had helped Calhoun take out the stairs. Considerably later, he was working in the cellar and found some bones, and he put two and two together
and went to the police.
No, he did a lot better than that, from his own point of view. Shall we go back into the parlor?
Oh, yes, of course.
I'll just shut this door again. Yeah. Burroughs began blackmailing Calhoun. Calhoun paid for a while, and then one day he called Burroughs in here, into the parlor. He was sitting over there at that desk. He had his cane with him. The cane that's on the desk there now. You can look at it if you like.
Well, thank you. I would like to look at it.
Twist the handle and pull on it.
A sword cane?
Yes. He killed Burroughs right here in this room. That stain on the carpet, there's his blood. This time he didn't even try to get away with it. He called in the police, and he was tried and sent to an institution.
Yes, but that's what I don't understand. If Calhoun had committed 2 murders, why wasn't he sent to jail or hanged?
Because no one knew whether he was sane or not. As a matter of fact, I don't think Calhoun knew himself. You see, when they asked him why he had killed his wife and Burroughs, he said he had to, that he'd been told to.
Told to? By whom?
Well, he wasn't sure. By voices. He said they told him that they lived here in this house before him, that they had killed, and that he would have to kill too.
Excellent. Just what I've been looking for, what I've hoped for. A house with a tradition of hauntings, where each generation is affected by that tradition and adds to it. What's the matter?
They've come for me. They're weighing me down, dragging me back.
They? Who? Oh, you're ill. Here, let me help you.
No, it's no use. You can't pick me up. It's too much on my hands. On my head.
Where is he?
He was there, right there on the floor. I tried to pick him up and put him on the couch, but I couldn't lift him. Oh, now he's gone.
Well, now, look, Doc, if he fell down, if he was as weak as you said,
Hey, wait a minute. Hey, what did he look like?
Well, he was quite old, about 70, and very tall and thin. He had white hair and a white goatee.
Holy smokes.
What's the matter?
Well, I was waiting outside for you. The guy that lives just down the hill came by, and we kind of talked a little.
Yes?
I told him you were inside here, and you described Calhoun to me, the guy that used to live here. And the old gent you say you spoke to sounds just like him.
But it couldn't have been. Calhoun is still in an institution.
No, he's not. At least not exactly. That's how this guy happened to talk about it. You see, he just read in the paper that Calhoun had died yesterday.
Sanders.
Yeah?
That was Calhoun's ghost.
Oh, now look,
It was, I tell you. It has to be. This is what I've been looking for years. An apparition that manifests itself without a medium or any apparatus. It's exactly what I need for the last chapter of my book. And I'm going to stay here until he appears again. Calhoun? Calhoun? Where are you? Why don't you come back? I'm waiting for you.
Oh, it's no use. 2 days now and not a sign of him. Maybe Sanders was right. Maybe I did imagine the whole thing. Either that.
Wait a minute. He didn't die here. He died at the asylum. He'd lived here all his life, committed 2 murders here. Perhaps the aura, the forces here, were strong enough to evoke him once, but not to bring him back again. His wife and the gardener, they did die here. If I could establish contact, I might be able to evoke them. Or else if someone else died here, someone I knew and someone that knew me. Calhoun! Is that right? Is that what I have to do? What? Who's there?
Me, Doc. Sanders.
Oh, just a second.
Oh, what a night. Blowing like all get out.
What do you want, Sanders?
Well, the missus thought she's getting a little worried about you. Thought you might be running low on food.
Oh, no, I still have plenty. I haven't been eating much.
Any luck?
No, he hasn't materialized again, but I'm sure he will. I know he will.
If someone else died here,
Yeah.
someone you knew, and someone that knew you.
Yeah.
What's the matter, Doc? Hey, why are you staring at me that way? Doc!
I'm sorry, Sanders. Sanders, I was just thinking that if you stayed here with me, it might help.
But I thought you said I was all wrong for this kind of stuff. You know I don't believe in ghosts, anything like that.
I did say that, Sanders, but, this place is different. This is such a powerful, fertile field for psychic manifestations that I think if you did stay, we could cure your skepticism permanently.
Yeah? How?
Well, this is such a perfect night for an evocation.
I don't hear anything. Just a storm.
Listen hard.
There it is again. It's down in the cellar.
Where's that?
It's back there.
Where?
Go ahead, run. You're quicker than I am, Sanders. Run, hurry.
Okay, but I still don't hear anything.
A man with an obsession in a haunted house. A man with a corpse in his hands as the clock strikes 12 for...
Murder at midnight.
And now, to continue with our story. It's just a moment later. And Dr. Goff is still standing by the open cellar door. Lighting a candle, he peers down to where Sanders' body lies huddled on the flagstones below.
Sanders? Sanders?
No. I think I better make sure. Sure. Take this Oh, now, let's see. He's dead, all right. Very dead. Neck broken in 2 places. I'm sorry, Sanders. Very sorry. But science is a hard mistress. I've been working on my book for 7 years. This is the first chance I've had to make detailed and objective observations on a specific set of phenomena. When Calhoun didn't materialize again. I'm sure you understand. The only problem now is the police. You have to be very uncompromising about something like this. If there were only some way I could... I know. The car. It's quite late, and with the storm blowing, there's not likely to be anyone around. Yeah, but... Oh, come on, Sanders. You and I are going to take a little trip. Now, we're almost there, Sanders. Just a little farther. Now, here we are. Now, let's see. You turned the car around before you came in, so it's headed downhill. Splendid. Very considerate. Now, open the door and put you in. Oh, up. Just make sure you don't fall sideways. So you stay behind the wheel. Now, that's it. Oh, is there anything else? Anything I've forgotten? I don't think so. Now, let's take the brake off. And shut the door. And wait. There's no telling how far she'll go, especially with the streets so bumpy. I only hope that she'll go far enough to pick up plenty of speed, so that when she does, she's swinging to the right. Yeah. And now I wait. Sanders! Sanders! Where are you? It's been 4 or 5 days now. Why haven't you come back? Haven't you wanted to? Or haven't you been able to find a way? This is where you died, remember? Down here in the cellar. Are you down there? Sanders? Are you down there? No. Not down there. Not anywhere. Say, yes? Oh, who's that? Who's there? What do you want, Jean?
I want to talk. Let me in, dear.
Just a second.
Alec. Oh, I'm so glad to see you, dear.
I asked you, what do you want? Why did you come here?
Why? It's been almost a week now since you've been home. Have you any idea how worried I've been? You didn't even phone me after Sanders was killed.
I'm sorry. I just never thought of phoning you. I had other things on my mind.
How did it happen, Alec?
You read the verdict of the inquest. You probably fell asleep at the wheel waiting for me. The brakes slipped. The car rolled down the hill and crashed.
Poor Sanders. Somehow I can't help feeling...
Feeling what?
I don't know. Perhaps it's this horrible old house. Everything about it. It's just plain evil. Oh, Alec, why don't you give it all up?
Give what up?
This obsession of yours. You started writing a book, doing psychical research to prove that there were no such things as apparitions or ghosts.
Suppose I found out that I was wrong.
What?
Yes, what would you say if I told you that I'd already seen one apparition here, and that I was expecting to see another one?
Alec, oh no.
Oh, yes, Jean. The first evening I came here, I saw Calhoun. I talked to him. He showed me around the house. And later on, I discovered that he had died the day before. I waited for him to come back again, but he never did. And I finally realized why. He couldn't come back because he hadn't died here. He had died at the sanitarium. But now, I'm waiting for Sanders to come back.
Sanders? But he didn't die here either. He died?
Yes, Jean.
I don't like it here, Alec. I'm afraid. I'm going.
No, Jean. Don't go. You can help me.
Huh?
Come on in here. Into the parlor.
But Alec.
Come on, Jean. Later I'll tell you a very interesting story about this room, about something that happened here a long time ago.
But All right, Alec.
That's a good girl. You know, Jean, I just realized I've been very stupid. Calhoun couldn't come back again because he didn't die here. Sanders did die here, but he wasn't buried here. And now I'm beginning to think that a spirit can only materialize in the place where its body is.
But what's that got to do with me?
Dear, does anyone know that you came here tonight?
Why, no, but...
Good.
What do you mean? And what are you doing with that cane?
Remember I said I was going to tell you a story about something that had happened here in this room? Well, this cane played an important part in it. You see, it's not just an ordinary cane. This is a sword cane. It's what Calhoun used when he killed his wife, right where you're standing.
Alec, you killed Sanders.
Exactly.
And now you're going to kill me.
Yes, dear. I am going to kill you. And I'm going to bury you right here, down in the cellar where Calhoun buried his wife. Then at least you will be able to come back. Oh, don't try and run away. It won't do any good. You see, I locked the door.
No. Keep away from me.
I'm sorry.
Keep away.
Help!
No!
Now, smooth out the gravel a little. Covered well. There. That ought to do it.
Very nice, Doctor. Very nice indeed. You didn't do quite as neat a job as I did, but you did.
Calhoun.
Yes, Doctor.
You're dead. But you did come back.
Yes, I came back to tell you how grateful I am to you.
Grateful? For what?
For having, shall we say, relieved me. You see, there's a curse on this house. When I was alive and lived here, even before I killed my wife and Burroughs, I saw the ghosts of those who had died before I was born. It was they who made me kill, because once I did kill, they were free.
I don't understand.
Don't you? As long as this house stands, someone must haunt it. Until I died, it was haunted by those whom I had killed. When I died, it became my job. I thought it would be years before I could find someone to take my place, and then you came along.
You mean...
Yes, Doctor, yes, the curse, the evil that was spawned here has been passed on to you. Now it's haunted by those whom you killed, and I am free and can rest in peace. But you must stay here and live with the evil you created until you die.
No, I won't stay.
Yes, you will, Doctor. Oh, I didn't believe it either. I thought I could leave whenever I wanted to, but I found that I couldn't. I had to stay until they took me away. When you try to leave, you'll find out why.
But I won't stay. I tell you, I won't. Neither you nor they can make me stay. Nothing can make me stay. No. What's more, you're right about this place. It is evil. But I'm not going to let that evil continue. It must be destroyed, along with every stick and stone in this house.
And just how do you propose to do that?
I'll show you. With fire. This can of kerosene. That pile of lumber there.
It won't do any good. Take my word for it.
No, you watch. There. The whole cellar, the whole house will go down.
Yes, Doctor, but you won't go.
I won't. You watch me.
But you can't go without me, Doc.
What?
Don't you remember? You carried me out to the car. You've got to take me with you.
And,
Yes, Doctor, your chauffeur.
Let go of me, Sanders. Let go. I can't take you with me.
You've got to take me too, Alec.
No. Let go. Both of you.
You see, now you know why I couldn't go either. What dragged me back and weighed me down.
Please.
Now you know why you're going to have to stay here.
I won't stay. I tell you, I won't. Not even if I have to take both Sanders and Jean with me.
I'm afraid that won't do any good, Doctor. You see, the ladder isn't very strong.
Go. I'm trapped here.
Goodbye, Doctor. If you don't mind, I'll leave you now for good.
No! Somebody!
The flames grow higher and higher as Dr. Goff screams and staggers backward. Far away, a bell starts tolling for
Murder at midnight.
Remember to be with us again when death stretches out his bony hand and the clocks strike 12 for
Murder at midnight.
The part of Dr. Goff was played by Barry Crowther. With music by Charles Paul, Murder at Midnight was directed by Anton M. Leader.
This I believe. John Layman is a British poet and publisher. But it is as an editor that he has really made his reputation. In the 1930s and 40s, he ran a literary journal called New Writing. His genius for selecting and encouraging the best of new talents in poetry and prose introduced many now famous writers to the public. These included George Orwell, Graham Greene, and Christopher Isherwood, to name only a few. After the war, New Writing, like so many journals, perished with the rise of printing costs. The loss to the literary world of John Layman's editorial flair was strongly felt. However, his talents are now utilized over the British Broadcasting Corporation in a series entitled New Soundings, a 45-minute radio version of New Writing. Here now is the creed of John Layman.
When a poet is asked what he believes, I think that if he is a good poet, he should answer quite simply, in poetry. I should like to give the same answer, but because so much of my working life has been devoted to looking for poets, more really than to writing poetry myself, I should also like to try and explain what such a belief comes from and what it leads to. I was born into a family that cared intensely for books and all the arts. My parents were not devout churchgoers, nor were they precisely agnostics. They were liberals, and I was brought up to believe that the worst evils in the world were injustice and cruelty, whether to other human beings or to animals. It was natural, therefore, that I grew up with the idea that the great heroes were those who consecrated their lives to the relief of suffering and oppression. Reformers like Wilberforce and Shaftesbury, but also writers like Shelley, Dickens, and William Morris. If I were to take part in that struggle, it would be as a writer, a poet, for the longing to be a maker in that sense grew stronger in me all the time. Very shortly after I left Cambridge, at the most formative time in my early manhood, the worldwide economic crisis of the 30s arrived, and, like so many other liberals of my generation, I began to go further left, believing that only socialism and Marxism could bring human justice in society and make war impossible forever. I do not believe that any longer. A big change in my ideas that had been preparing for some time was crystallized early on in the last war by rereading Wordsworth, and particularly the Prelude, in which that great poet describes how he grew to be disillusioned with the French Revolution. I became convinced that human society would always be imperfect because human beings were imperfect, and that the reckless pursuit of perfection could lead to even worse evils than those it endeavored to eliminate. I saw that, though change and renewal were part of the very nature of life and the heart of love, the process must not go so fast that man was cut off from his roots in the past. And I began to understand what Wordsworth, Shelley, and Matthew Arnold meant when they claimed that without poetry, civilization would inevitably be corrupted and decay, and that in an age of religious disintegration, men would come to rely more and more upon poetry. Well, that's what I believe now. That poetry, and by that I mean the work of the poetic imagination in all writing, indeed in all art, that poetry keeps fresh the deepest wells of our spiritual life, and forever reminds us of those profound truths that lie beyond logical reasoning, beyond the materialistic view. We must hold to them like a talisman if we are not to be lost in the future we face.
That was John Layman, a British poet, publisher, and editor.
What's the matter? What is it?
It's a case for Nick Carter, master detective.
Yes, it's another case for that most famous of all manhunters, the detective whose ability at solving crime is unequaled in the history of detective fiction. Nick Carter, Master Detective.
But Phyllis, it's true. I know it's true.
But it's not true, June, darling. Don't you suppose I'd know it if you were going crazy?
But why do I hear these noises all the time? Why am I so cold when it's really warm in here? Why do I...
June, you're just working yourself up over nothing. Now, why don't you
Alex
relax?
told me my mother acted the same way, Phyllis.
My husband didn't mean
He
that.
said Mother heard noises like thunder in her ears. He told me that she was cold and shivering no matter what the temperature was. Alex told me that.
Well, even if that's true, it doesn't prove...
It does. I'll kill myself before I let them take me away. I won't go to an asylum. I won't.
A young girl convinced that she is going insane. A fiancé who is not convinced, who doubts that it can be true in spite of the evidence. An appeal to Nick Carter, Master Detective. The uncovering of a strange and unnatural plot. Not for money, not for power, but for hate. This is the story unfolded in The Case of the Demented Daughter.
That must be Randy Wyatt. I made a date for him to see you at 10:30.
Is Mr. Carter here yet?
Yes, he is. Won't you come in?
Thank you. Mr. Carter?
Yes?
I'm Randy Wyatt. Your father and mine used to be pretty good friends. That's why I'm taking the liberty of asking you to help me now.
Why, no liberty at all. Commands are down.
Thank you, sir.
What seems to be the trouble?
Well, last night I got this note from the girl I'm engaged to. She sent my ring back with it.
May I see it? It's no use, Randy, darling. I'm doomed. And I won't have you burdened with an insane wife. So this is goodbye.
You're heartbroken, June.
I tried to call her as soon as I got the note, but the housekeeper wouldn't let me talk to her. Said she was too ill to come to the phone.
Well, have you seen any signs of this insanity she speaks of?
I know, and I don't believe it. There's been something funny going on somewhere. She's been a little more nervous than usual when we've been out together this past month, but that isn't insanity.
You say when we've been out together. Does that mean that you don't see her at home much?
Well, for the past month, she seemed to prefer to get out of the house. Doesn't want to stay home anymore.
Well, have you seen her at home at all?
Well, I was there one night about a week ago. Her sister Phyllis and her brother-in-law, Alex Benson, were out, and we spent the evening there alone.
Did she seem to be the same as usual?
Why, except for one little thing, yes. She complained that she felt cold, almost shivery. The house was cold even for me. The thermometer said 78, but it wasn't as warm as that in there. But the fact that she was cold when the thermometer said 78 seemed to play on her mind. I tried to tell her the thermometer was wrong and that I was chilly too, but she insisted I was just being nice to her.
I see. Well, has she any reason to be afraid of going out of her mind?
When I was waiting for June the other night, Alex, her brother-in-law, warned me that she was acting queer. Said he felt I ought to know. Told me her mother died in the Harrah Hill Sanitarium. I tried to laugh at him, but he insisted he and Phyllis had seen definite symptoms.
Uh-huh. Anyone else live there with June besides Phyllis and her husband?
The housekeeper, Miss Everett, cook, and a maid.
They must have plenty of money.
Oh, yes, June's father was a rich man, and he left his entire estate to be divided between the two girls.
How long ago did her mother go to the sanitarium?
Let me see. June was 6 then, so it must have been 1932. She died there in 1940.
I see. What does this Alex Benson do?
He has a very good business, I understand. Doing very well.
And this housekeeper you spoke of, has she been with them long?
Since a couple of years after Miss Kemper was taken away. She's a peppery old lady, but an excellent housekeeper. She and Phyllis brought June up.
I'd like to talk to your fiancé, Wyatt. Can you arrange it?
That's what I'd hoped you'd say, Mr. Carter. June isn't crazy, I know that. Just as sure as I know my own name.
Well, when can we see her? Around 5 this afternoon, perhaps?
We can try. Where shall I meet you?
You better be here at the office about 4:30. We'll go up together.
I'll be here. Oh, Mr. Carter, I do hope you can straighten this out.
I'll certainly do what I can, Wyatt.
You're swell, Mr. Carter. Well, see you at 4:30. Goodbye.
So long.
Goodbye, Mr. Wyatt. Oh, the poor kid. Losing her mind at her age.
I'm not at all sure she is, Patsy.
Huh?
Look at this note she sent Wyatt.
Well, what about it? The writing looks awkward, but she was probably upset.
Now, look closely. See how the pencil bears down much harder in some places than in others?
Yes.
And it's not always in the places where the lines would naturally be heavier.
Which means?
One explanation would be that somebody was guiding her hand, forcing her to write this.
Oh.
Patsy, I think we'll do some checking up.
Okay. What'll we do?
Call Scubby the paper. Ask him for a full report on both Phyllis and Alex Benson.
Uh-huh.
Society doings and any other information he may find in the morgue.
Yeah.
Also tell him to check up on Alex's business and financial rating.
All right. Anything else?
Yes, I want you to call on the housekeeper. Give her some excuse. Find out all you can about her.
I'll tell you what. I'll pretend I'm making a checkup of the conditions under which housekeepers work for some magazine, say. That'll do it.
Good. While you do that, I'm going down to the surrogate's office and take a look at the father's will. If there's any conspiracy going on, there's very likely to be money involved.
Okay, Nick. See you here as soon as I get the dope on Mrs. Everett.
As I told you when you called, young lady, I can give you only a few minutes.
Well, I'm glad you could see me at all, Mrs. Everett.
We can sit here in the breakfast room.
Thank you.
Now, ask your questions and I'll answer them if they're not personal.
Well, they are personal, but only in a general way. How long have you been here?
Since 1936, the year after Mrs. Kemple died.
Uh-huh. Had you worked previously?
I had. 14 years. 2 jobs. In each case, I left because I was offered more money. If somebody offered me more money than I'm getting here, I'd leave tomorrow.
Uh-huh. Are you married, Mrs. Everett?
I was. My husband died.
Any children?
I have not. I hate them.
How do you find working conditions here?
I've seen better and I've seen worse.
How do you get along with your employers?
Mr. Kemple was a fine man. We got along well.
Oh. Do you mean you're having trouble with Mr. and Mrs. Benson?
No, Phyllis and Alex are all right. We get along well enough, but that June, I can't stand her. I never could.
Oh. Do you have any special reason to feel that way? Or is it because you don't like children?
She's a brat. Always was. Used to play tricks on me when I first came here. Left a toy wagon for me to stumble over when she was little, and I fell and broke my ankle. I'd have left here then, but Mr. Campbell offered me so much money I couldn't afford to go. But I made that June pay for what she did. Why, I'm talking too much. What else do you want to know?
You wouldn't want to tell me what they pay you here, would you?
I wouldn't. I told you not to get personal. Now, I got to go. Good day.
Goodbye, and thank you, Mrs. Everett. All right, Scubby, I'll tell him. Thanks. Goodbye.
Oh, hi, Patsy.
Hello.
How'd you make out?
Here's a typewritten report of my interview. I didn't like that Mrs. Everett at all.
Oh, but she doesn't like June, huh?
Mm-mm.
Oh, good work, Patsy. That covers it.
You really like it, Nick?
I do. Get your hat. We're taking a ride out to Harrow Hills Sanitarium where Mrs. Kemple died. I want to talk to the doctor out there.
Right with you, Nick. Walter went out after you phoned, but he'll be back pretty soon.
Have you heard from Scubby yet?
Oh, yes. He says he found plenty of stuff about Phyllis and Alex, but nothing you'd want. Except that Alex's business is in a pretty bad shape. He needs to expand and has been having trouble getting capital to do it.
Yes?
Guppy says he couldn't find out whether he'd put any of his wife's money into it or not.
I see.
What'd you find out at the Surrogate's office?
I found that Mr. Kemple left a large fortune, divided equally between the two girls. But there were two interesting clauses in the will. One was that should either daughter develop a mental weakness of any kind, the other daughter was to have control of the money and administer it for the other's benefit.
Hey, Nick, that's something.
As for the other, peculiar. It's a statement that since the circumstances surrounding the birth of the two sisters were fully taken into account in drawing the will, no claims on that basis were to be allowed under penalty of forfeiture of all rights under the will.
What in the world does that mean?
Wish I knew. I called the lawyer who drew it, but he refused to talk about it. So I'm having Walter look up the birth certificates of both girls. Might be some help there.
Uh-huh. You think the doctor at the sanitarium could help you?
I don't know. I hope so. That's one reason I want to have a talk with him.
I'm sorry I can't be of more help to you, Mr. Carter, but my knowledge of the Kemple family is limited to Mrs. Kemple herself, as I said.
Doctor, tell me, did Mrs. Kemple know what was happening to her?
Oh, yes. Some years before it actually happened, it became evident that sooner or later she would have trouble. Hers, as I said, was a case of schizophrenia, split personality. And in her case, the other side of her was homicidal.
But you say it can be inherited, Doctor.
It can be, but fortunately, it rarely is.
Well, thank you for your time, Dr. Lennox, and for your information. I think it'll help us to get to the bottom of this.
Turn left here, Mr. Carter. The Kemple place is halfway down the next block.
Nick, did I hear Walter telling you he could find only Phyllis's birth certificate?
That's right, Patsy. No record of June's birth at all. Wife, do you know where June was born?
No, I don't. Oh, by the way, Mr. Carter, I tried to get in touch with June to tell her we were coming, but the housekeeper wouldn't let me speak to her. Said she was asleep. Darn that woman, I don't trust her at all.
Is this the house?
Yeah, that's it.
You'll have to wait in the car, Patsy. Mrs. Everett knows you.
Right, Nick.
I hope we can get in.
Oh, I think we'll manage somehow.
If Phyllis is here, she'll let me in.
Maybe there's nobody here. I think I hear someone coming.
When there's somebody sick in the house, you ought to know better than to make so much noise.
Mrs. Everett, I'm sorry, but we must see June Kemple at once.
She's in her room and in no condition to see anyone at once. Who are you?
This is Mr. Nick Carter, Miss Everett. Please let us see June.
What's a detective doing here?
I'm not here as a detective. Rather as a friend. May we see June?
Very well. She's in her room. You can go up, but make it as short as you can. She's sick.
Thank you. Come on, Mr. Carter. I can't understand Miss Everett's dislike for June. She never has a good word for her.
Some people are like that, wife. Some people just don't seem...
Randy, help! Help!
That's June. Come on.
Oh, Randy.
June, honey, what's wrong?
couldn't open the door. I couldn't make my hands open the door.
It was probably stuck.
No, it wasn't the door. It was me. My hands.
Now, what do you mean by that, Miss Campbell?
It's just the way my mother acted when she was sick. Alex told me about it last night. She couldn't make her hands do what she wanted. I tried to open my door, and I couldn't. I just couldn't. I had to try and try before I could get it open. Oh, Randy. It was like a nightmare. A horrible nightmare.
Come now, honey. Don't cry like that. I just can't stand it. Please, honey.
What? Look here.
Oh, what is it, sir?
Notice this?
Why, well, that's wax, isn't it?
It is. Wax that someone stuffed in the latch of a door to make it difficult to open. Not impossible, just difficult.
Then there is a plot to drive her insane. I knew it.
Either that or a plot to make her think she's insane. Nothing very mental about a piece of wax and a door lock.
Listen, June, honey, marry me right now. Let me get you out of this house. You'll be safe once I get you away from here.
No, Randy, I can't. It wouldn't be fair to you.
Listen. Someone just came in.
I'm glad you got that. Randy Wyatt and a detective were up talking to June, and she shouldn't be seeing anyone. She's sick. I tried to keep them out, but I couldn't. Now I'll go up and see what they're doing. Is everything all right, June?
Yes, Miss Benson. There's nothing wrong with June.
I'm surprised you felt you had to see her when she's so ill.
Miss Benson, this is Mr. Carter, a friend of mine.
How do you do?
I wanted him to see June.
Well, now that you've seen her, you better go. Come, June. I'll take you back to your room. You better lie down and be quiet.
All right, sir. But it's no use. It's no use.
Well, Mr. Carter, I guess we...
Yes. Come on, White.
I'm sorry that Phyllis seems a little abrupt, but we're really very much worried about June. As I told you, Randy, she's exhibiting all the symptoms her mother had just before she was taken away.
Alex, this is Mr. Carter. He knew my father years ago.
How are you, Mr. Benson?
How do you do, sir?
Mr. Benson, do you happen to know where June was born?
June?
Yes.
But, no, I don't think I do. Oh, wait a minute. It seems to me I've heard Phyllis say that she was born in Barnstable.
And where's that?
Well, it's about an hour out of the city, I believe, on the River Turnpike. Phyllis, wasn't June born in Barnstable?
Yes, she was. Oh, Alex, I don't know what we're going to do with that girl. She's possessed with that one idea. And since Mother... Oh, I don't know what to do.
Come on, Mr. Carter. We better get out of here.
Yes. Our work is finished here. For now.
But, Nick, aren't you going to eat anything before you go?
We'll grab a sandwich and a cup of coffee on the way. Why, old Sim Carter used to go...
What are you expecting to find in Barnstable?
June was born there. If her birth certificate doesn't give us a clue to that clause in Campbell's will, I'll find somebody there who can. Fancy, you wait here at the office for me.
But what do you expect from me, Mr. Carter? You say you found the birth certificate in good order? After we finally got that guy to open up town hall so we could have a look. Boy, was he hopping mad at being called away from his supper.
Dr. Jessup, you signed the birth certificate, so you should be able to answer my question. What is there about June's birth that would cause her father to put that strange clause in his will?
I couldn't tell you, Mr. Carter. Mrs. Campbell came up here for a rest, and June was born while she was here.
Dr. Jessup, suppose I should tell you that I think someone is trying to make June think she's losing her mind because her mother did. Would that stir your memory?
Losing her mind because her mother... Oh, no, that's impossible. Why, she... pardon me, I must see who's at the door.
Certainly, we'll wait.
It's strange that they should come to the back door.
Nick, he knows something. Sure as you're a foot high, he knows something.
Yes, Waldo, I think he does. And I think he's going to talk.
Nick, sounds as if he's in...
Why, Dr. Jessup, what's wrong? Dr. Jessup.
You're right. See Leona Perkins. She...
Look at Nick. He was shot twice, right through the chest.
So I see.
But we didn't hear no shots.
Silencer, apparently. Waldo, see if you can spot anyone out there.
Right, Nick. I'll get him.
Oh, poor guy. If I hadn't come here to ask... Waldo! Waldo! Did you...
It's no good, Nick. I thought I saw a guy hiding in the trees there, so I took a couple of shots at him. I guess it was just shadows.
You ought to know better than to go shooting off that old 44 of yours blindly that way.
But, Nick,
Waldo, you stay here. Call the sheriff. Tell him what happened. I'm going to find Leona Perkins before someone tries to eliminate her, too. You got that, Patsy? Tell Matty to have his man keep constant watch on the Kemple house. And tell me just who goes in or out.
Uh-huh. And he's to wait until you come and report to you.
Right. I'll pick you up at the office on my way back. Oh, and have Randy Wyatt there, too, so he can go with us.
Where did you say you are now?
In Barnstable, at the home of Leona Perkins. She was June's nurse after she was born. She knows the answers if anyone does. All right, I'll see you at the office, Patsy. Sorry, Mrs. Perkins, but I had to get that call through without delay. Now, you know Dr. Jessup, of course.
Yes, of course. I worked with him for 15 years. He sent you to me?
Yes. I'm sorry to have to tell you this, but Dr. Jessup has just been killed.
Dr. Jessup? Killed?
Yes, shot. By someone who wanted to keep him from telling me what I came to Barnstable to find out.
Dr. Jessup dead. I can't believe it.
Before he died, he told me to come to you. That you would tell me what the mystery is about June Kemple's birth.
Why are you asking these questions, Mr. Carter?
Because June's sanity is in danger.
June insane? She can't be.
Why not? Her mother was, I understand. Died in the sanitarium.
Then you understand wrongly, Mr. Carter. Her mother is perfectly sane, and she's still alive. Alive and well.
What's that you say?
Do I look insane to you?
You? Why, no, of course not.
Mr. Carter, I am June's mother.
You are June's mother?
I am. June is really my daughter.
Miss Perkins, I'm afraid I don't understand. Why was she brought up as the Kemple's child?
Mrs. Kemple had one daughter, and she wanted another, desperately. But she knew she was gradually going out of her mind. And she was afraid if she bore another child, it too might be susceptible to the same dread disease. So she decided to adopt a baby, but secretly, to prevent any possible discrimination against it. She made inquiries in several places. Dr. Jessup heard of her search and came to me.
How did he happen to come to you?
He was my doctor. My husband had just been killed in an accident, and my baby was to be born in 3 days. We were very poor, and I was frantic with worry. I had no money, Mr. Carter, no relatives. I'd never worked a day in my life. I could see no way to provide for the child who was coming.
And you agreed to give up your baby?
Yes. In a moment of weakness, I did. When June was born, Dr. Jessup registered her as being born to Mrs. Kemple instead of to me. Oh, perhaps it was wrong of him, but he felt it was the wisest thing to do.
You've never seen her since?
No, Mr. Carter. Bitterly as I've regretted my decision, I've sworn I'd never try to see her again. And I never have.
Did anyone else beside you, the doctor, and the Kemples know of this?
No, not a soul. Even Phyllis was never told. She believes June to be her own natural sister.
I doubt that she does now. Mrs. Perkins, you must go back to the city with me at once. Not only June's sanity, but her life may be in danger at this very moment.
And you say you found some real evidence, Nick?
The best in the world, Patsy. I found Mrs. Perkins here.
Well, I understand, Nick.
You'll know the whole story in a few minutes. That's as soon as we get to the Kemple's house.
Is it a plot against June, Mr. Carter? Is she really all right?
Yes, Wyatt, I believe so. It'll take time to get her back on her feet, but basically she's as sane as you or I.
But who would want to do a thing like this?
It can only be one person. And how she found out about it, I don't know. But she did, obviously.
Mr. Carter, how much further? I promised once I'd never see June again, but now
That's one promise that is better broken than kept. Well, here we are. Oh, that must be Matty's man across the street. You three go in. I'll be with you as soon as I get his report.
I must protest, Mr. Carter. This is outrageous.
Sorry,
This
Mrs.
time of
Everett.
night.
It has to be done this way.
Everybody's here, Nick, all except Phyllis. She's been in bed with a migraine headache ever since dinner.
Well, we'll go ahead without her.
Okay.
June,
Yes.
You say various things happened to you that seem to indicate that you're losing your mind.
Yes, Mr. Carter. Just like my poor mother when she was losing her mind.
How do you know about your mother?
Why, Alex told me.
Alex told you. Huh? Mr. Benson, may I ask if you knew Mrs. Kemple?
Why, no, I didn't. She died before I met Phyllis.
And how do you know how she acted while she was going to pieces?
Well, I've heard the story from Phyllis.
Complete with details?
Why, yes.
Recently?
Why, I guess she has told me more in the last few weeks than she ever did before, but what are you getting at?
I won't let them take me away. I'll kill myself first. I will.
Steady, June, steady. That won't be necessary. There's nothing wrong with you mentally, and there never has been.
But all those queer things.
Every single one of those things is a trick, suggestion, planted in your mind.
But my mother died in that place.
No, June, you're wrong. She didn't.
Why, Nick?
June's mother is alive and well today. I'd like to introduce her to you. Mrs. Leona Perkins.
Nick, this is the most fantastic story I ever heard. Are you sure?
I am. I have positive proof. Dr. Jessup's story and Mrs. Perkins' story, which can be backed up with documentary proof. And if you want something you can see for yourself, look at June's little finger. I've just now noticed how she has the same peculiar little crook at the end of it that Mrs. Perkins has.
By golly, Nick, you're right. It's just the same.
You're my mother. My real mother.
Yes, June, darling. Your real mother.
Oh, Mother.
Mr. Carter, who in heaven's name would want to do this to June?
A person who was afraid that she might be susceptible to the thing that killed her mother, and consequently hated the person who wasn't. A person who wanted to prove that it was someone else, not her, who was the weak one.
Carter, do you realize what you're saying?
Unfortunately, Benson, I do.
But you mean that Phyllis... Phyllis?
Oh, of course he doesn't, Alex. That's sheer nonsense.
Mrs. Benson, didn't you help June write the note that broke her engagement to Randy Wyatt?
Yes, at her request.
After you talked me into doing it.
And didn't you suggest that June heard things and felt things, and then when you got her believing she did, didn't you suggest to Alex that those things were a sign of mental weakness?
She did. I can tell now. She was always asking me if I didn't feel this or hear that. I thought she was trying to help me, but...
I was trying to help.
Where have you been the last 2-3 hours?
In my room with a headache.
No, you weren't. You drove to Barnstable, shot Dr. Jessup so he couldn't tell me the secret, and came back here. My man saw you come in. You sneaked in the back door and up to your room, changed your shoes because they got muddy in the doctor's backyard, and then you came down here to brazen it out. Randy, if you look, I'm sure you'll find the muddy shoes in her room, and you'll find the motor of her car still hot. And probably you'll find a gun in her car, too.
I'll take a look right now.
Stay where you are, all of you. You may find the muddy shoes, but I've got the pistol right here, and I'm going to kill you all. You're a pack of sneaking...
Better take her away, officer, before you hurt someone.
Officer?
I'll take her. I'll sit down. Take her. All right. Go on, then. Alex, take her upstairs. Keep her in her room.
Yes, Mr. Carter. Come on, Phyllis.
Sure. Lock me up. Just the way they locked my mother up. You think I'm crazy, but I'm not. I'm as sane as any of you. I'll show you.
How could you do such a thing, Phyllis? Why should you hate me so?
Why shouldn't I hate you? I'd hated you from the moment I found those old letters of Father's after he died. Those letters from Dr. Jessup, which gave away the whole story. Dr. Jessup said he hoped I'd never suffer as my mother did. Said he could understand how pleased Father was to know that there was no possibility of you having inherited any tendency to a mental weakness. I knew what he meant, and I hated you for it. I wish I'd killed you long ago.
Come, Phyllis. You'll feel better in your own room. Mrs. Everett, will you come with us, please?
Of course, Mr. Benson. Take your hands off. I know nothing about it.
What a terrible thing.
Yes. If she'd never found those letters, this whole thing might never have happened. They not only turned her against June, they planted the fear of insanity in her own mind. And the hate and the fear together grew into a phobia that was too strong for her.
Mr. Carter, I don't know what to say. If there's any way I can repay you, you have only to name it.
Oh, yes, Mr. Carter. I feel as if a load had been lifted off my heart.
This is a wonderful thing you've done, Mr. Carter. A wonderful thing. God bless you for doing it.
Nick? In the excitement, I forgot.
Forgot what?
Waldo.
Oh, what about Waldo?
Waldo is being held in Barnstable on charge of killing Dr. Jessup.
What?
Yes. He called just before you got back. Said he'd try to explain what happened, But the sheriff didn't believe him. Especially since 2 shots had been fired from his pistol, and 2 shots killed Dr. Jessup.
Oh, poor Waldo. I suppose the more they questioned him, the more excited he got that he finally talked himself right into his cell.
Well, you better do something about it, Nick, before Waldo goes crazy. Before he...
Okay, Patsy. May I use your phone, June?
Certainly.
Poor Waldo. Oh, operator, I want the sheriff's office in Barnstable. Yes, the sheriff's office, that's right. And I want to talk to the sheriff himself.
Well, Nick, how about a little look into next week's story?
No sooner said than done, Hugh. It all started with a man being strangled in his hotel room in the very early hours of the morning.
And then went on to include a piece of silk torn from a shirt, a dictaphone record, and a missing wife.
Who was missing because her husband wanted it that way, but refused to stay missing when she received a letter containing a railroad ticket.
It was really the hotel maid.
Patsy, say something for next week.
What do you call your story, Nick?
I call it The Case of the Dictaphone Murder.
Nick Carter, Master Detective, which is produced and directed by Jock McGregor, is copyrighted by Street and Smith Publications Incorporated. Pictured stories of Nick Carter appear in every issue of The Shadow comics. In the broadcast of Nick Carter, Master Detective, Lon Clark is starred as Nick, Charlotte Manson is featured as Patsy. Original music is played by George Wright. Script is by Jock McGregor and Peggy Mayer. Any resemblance of these programs to actual persons, living or dead, or to actual places is purely coincidental. Nick Carter, Master Detective, is presented over most of these mutual stations each week at this same time. This is Hugh Sanders saying so long until next week.
This I believe. John T. Ma is a student. The son of a leading Chinese painter and calligrapher, he has, however, chosen to go into journalism and international relations. During the Sino-Japanese War, he was twice in military service. The first time with the Chinese Army, and then with the American volunteer group, the Flying Tigers. He came to the United States in 1947, and his years of hardship in China began to show their toll. Here now is John T. Ma.
To be alone and far away from home is not a very happy situation. To be poor is also not so comfortable. To be sick is perhaps even more unfortunate. To be sick, poor, alone, and far away from home all at once is a predicament I might rightly call miserable. I was in such a predicament 3 years ago. With a pair of swollen eyes, I went to the hospital, but my heart was much sicker than my body. I was then ordered to take absolute bed rest, not only to stay in bed 24 hours a day, but also lie flat on my back. The only thing I could do was to look at the ceiling and think, and that I did. I recalled that I was once sick of a more dangerous disease with much less assurance of recovery during the war in a remote Chinese village where no medicine was available except herbs. I was alone, and my whole property was probably worth $2 or less. Yet, I did not remember that I had felt as miserable then as in this hospital now. Why? In attempting to find the answer, I suddenly realized that I had lost something which I had before. In 1938, when I was a senior in high school, I gave up my education and joined the army to defend my country against the Japanese invasion. My idea was that my responsibility to my people was much more important. I did not consider the loss of education and a comfortable home life in Shanghai as a sacrifice. I considered this opportunity to serve as a godsend which all the money in the world couldn't buy. When I felt sick then, I did not lose my faith in the idea of serving my fellow man. I still thought it was worth my whole life to do it. That the temporary difficulty caused by illness did not bother me. As I grew older, I grew smaller. I began to think more of myself and less about helping my fellow man. I might still help others once in a while when I felt like it, but I had not always remembered that my helpfulness to others was a much greater purpose of life than my personal comfort and achievements. When I lost sight of the greater purpose of life, small inconveniences in life became more unbearable to me. I lost my vision in the future. That's why I felt miserable at the moment when I should by all means be thankful. On my table were letters and flowers, and in my drawer gifts from my friends. Why did they give these things to me? Because of old friendship? No, quite a few were from persons whom I knew only slightly or did not know at all. Because of something they expect to receive in return from me? No, they knew I had almost nothing, and even my recovery was a question mark. They did it because they believed in helping others. Now I have recovered. My doctor said that I had a very strong resistance. I think my successful recovery is due mainly to the encouragement of my friends. Their encouragement has restored my faith in the idea of helping my fellow mankind. I believe that God helps those who help others.
That was John T. Ma, a Chinese student at Columbia University.
NBC presents, transcribed, Frank Lovejoy in Night Beat.
Hi, this is Randy Stone. I cover the night beat for the Chicago Star. You never know when there's magic in a story. I mean the magic that takes a routine yarn and suddenly electrifies the whole country, giving the good people an emotional bath. You take the story of Jody Levering, age 5, going on 6. At noon Sunday, the lost boy report came in, just one of 40 or 50 on a normal day. But the boy hadn't been found by 8 o'clock that night. And then the story broke on the other side of town, down among the lower bistro set in Lost Man's Canyon, where an ancient church with its tall spire benignly spreads its protection over a neighborhood that consists of missions, pawn shops, buy your shoes with a shirt off your back second-hand stores, 5 and 10 muscatel shops, and honky-tonks. Jody Levering, 5 going on 6, missing. And in the church, Father Clary was preparing for evening prayers. Miss Gately, the organist, was at the organ when the old caretaker wandered through the vestibule.
Time to ring the bell, Father?
Certainly, John.
Good. Here we go. My gosh. Father?
Yes, John? What is it?
There's something wrong up in the tower. The bell doesn't...
Oh? Let me try. Well, first time I've ever had trouble with it.
Guess I better go up.
You be careful. Those wooden steps
haven't been up for a long time, have I? I'll get the bell fixed in a jiffy.
It was a friendly sort of church over 60 years old, with the kind of stained glass windows and rows of worn benches you rarely see anymore. The organ was on the right side of the altar, and behind it was a door that opened onto the rickety wooden stairs leading up 65 feet to the belfry. Father Clary stood at the bottom of the circular stairway and peered up into the darkness of the bell tower as John, puffing and sighing, reached the top. And suddenly...
John, are you all right? Oh, I told you to be careful.
Bush. Bush.
What?
Stay out! Stay out!
Who is it? Who's up there?
Stay away, you hear? If you even try to come near me, I'll kill the boy.
That's the way it broke. Jody Levering, 5 going on 6, no longer missing. Now found in the bell tower of the Church of St. Francis. But how do you get him down? A man up there with him who didn't think twice about pushing an old man down a 65-foot stairway. The extras hit the street inside of 7 minutes. Child hostage in Church Tower. That was the magic. It went over the wire services. Inside of 12 minutes, it had spread from the Atlantic to the Pacific, from Mexico to Canada. And before the extras had hit the street, the people of the night had drifted out of the bars, the muscatel shops, the tattoo emporiums, and dark doorways. And they'd congregated on the sidewalks and flowed over into the street. Their necks craned upward, up to the belfry of the old church. The police threw a cordon around the church, and the fire department was there with ladders and nets, equipment for catching a falling body.
I know who the man is, Randy?
No, not yet.
And what did he come here for?
It'll be interesting to find out. Sterling! Lieutenant Sterling!
Hey, yeah, what is it, Storm?
Anything I can do?
Yeah, keep out of the way.
Who is it up there?
How do I know? Look, don't get underfoot. This is tough. Get that mic around the front, Sergeant. I want the loudspeaker set over here.
He can't last up there.
No, neither can the boy.
Yeah, it's just a question of hanging around until something happens. Cut and dry. They'll toss us some tear gas and we'll be all over it.
If you were up there, what would you use to protect yourself?
The boy.
Yeah, the boy.
Yeah, but the guy's a sucker. He can't get away with it.
Well, sure he can't, but what about the boy? Police can't do anything if it'll hurt that kid. That killer's got more protection up there than an armory you'd give him.
This is the police. Hello up there. You have no way out. You might as well come down peacefully. Give up the child. You're entirely surrounded. There's no way out for you.
Look! Look! Here he is! He's alive! Don't get it!
He was holding the boy out of the tiny window up at the top of the tower. And suddenly, no one was breathing. No one in that whole crowd all around me. The child dangling in space 65 feet from the ground.
But if you come near me, I'll drop you. If you try anything at all.
He pulled the boy back into the tower. Everybody began to breathe again, a little shocked, a little thrilled, too.
What a picture that would make, huh, Stone?
You know where I can get some binoculars, Harry?
Huh? Binoculars?
Yeah, I might be able to see into the window of that tower from the top of that building down the street.
Hey, that's right. It is about the same height.
It'd help if we knew what he was doing.
Yeah, binoculars. Yeah, Beckett, turf color.
Can you reach him?
I'll give him a buzz.
If you'll come down, it'll save us all a lot of time and trouble. Do you hear me up there?
Keep them alive. Won't do any good now. Maybe later. Connors.
Yes, sir.
Get those searchlights on.
Yes, sir. Light them.
Hey, Lieutenant, if we could get a tear gas bomb in that window, I got a pretty good throwing arm.
Even if you were Grover, Cleveland, Alexander, what have you missed?
Oh, it was inspirational. That magic in a story all around me, standing on the sidewalk across from the Church of St. Francis. Looking up where the cones of light speared the tiny window. And then something real came out of the crowd. The child's mother.
Jody, my baby.
Mrs. Levering, it'd be better if you didn't... Connors.
Yes.
Jody.
If she stays in my car, have someone stay with her.
Jody.
Oh, where's your husband, Mrs. Levering?
Jody.
Your husband. Where is he?
Where?
Connors, take care of her. I want those lights kept up there on the tower.
My husband's not here. In New York on Johnny.
We're going to save him, Mrs.
Hello, Father.
Mr. Stone.
How's the old gentleman who was knocked down the stairs?
Oh, John, his legs are broken, but he'll be all right.
Any way to get up there, Father? Back way or anything?
Just the wooden stairs, Lieutenant, as far as I know. There are some musty old rooms and hallways downstairs. You know how they built a church 60 years ago.
Yeah.
Lieutenant, I'm going up.
Going up? Where?
Up the wooden stairs inside the church to the belfry.
But
I can't leave that child up there. I can't.
It's dangerous, Father.
It's dangerous not going up, Mr. Stone.
But, Father...
Oh, no. I'll be all right. He won't harm me.
Father Clary went back inside the church, and I followed him. He went down the long aisle, past the organ, and through the door. I stood and watched him start up the rickety stairs. He wouldn't let me go with him. He wouldn't let me talk him out of it. A short and stocky man, puffing a little, past 60, holding onto the flimsy railing as he went up and up the circular stairs. What do you do? What kind of logic do you use? Surround the church, get the fire department nets out, try to think of everything the maniac up there could think of, but no way to prevent Jody Levering's death. Sure, you could get him, but how long would it take to throw a 40-pound child out of a stone window? In which direction would he throw it? How far out? Do you play games with a child's life?
I said don't come up here! I'll kill him!
Father Clary's footsteps stopped, and he began talking. I couldn't hear the words. I knew what they were, but I couldn't hear them.
I'll kill him! I'll kill him!
I didn't have to go outside to know what was happening. Holding him out the window, threatening to throw the child. I looked up into the blackness of the bell tower. Father Clary was coming down. And at the bottom, my reporter friend had a cameraman ready to get some pictures of Father Clary.
Take it from that angle, Angie. Get a shot of Father Clary's face.
Not missing any bets, huh, Harry?
Oh, hello, Randy. I got those binoculars for you. Here he comes, Angie. He'll be tired. Get an angle on the face. I want his eyes. I want to see the defeat. Father!
Not a picture.
Get it, Angie. What do you say, Father?
He wouldn't kill me. He wasn't interested in killing me.
Yeah, but what did he say?
Mr. Stone, what can we do?
Were you able to see him, Father?
Oh, it was too dark.
His voice, young, old?
Can I have another shot of you, Father?
His voice? How can you tell?
Sick?
Yes, sick. His soul is sick.
How about it, Father? Another picture?
Outside the church in the street, the crowd kept growing, pushed back by the police. Dark faces in a dark night, their eyes roving incessantly, a little undercurrent in them. What do they think, these people? Do they think like Mrs. Levering, who can't think anything because there's the white heat of fear in her? Jody, 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 that's all. Just a name, 5 going on 6. What do you think, you eating a sandwich, and you smoking a pipe? A pipe, that's for chess, for reading, for a gentle kind of thinking. What's in your mind, stranger? What are you thinking about puffing your pipe? And you, lady, what's on your mind?
They climb around the other side and come in through the window. I don't understand what they don't do.
Absolutely right. I think they ought to...
Who stays out in the night? Who stays out and crowds the street and spills out into the gutter, rubbernecks to be in on the kill? It was easy to spot the people from the other side of town, the ones who didn't belong around this 2-bit burlesque free soup kitchen district. Their jacket and trousers matched from the other side of town. But no different from this side. Everybody the same eyes shining, the same taut expectancy in their upturned faces.
All ready? What about it? We're going to use those binoculars?
Mr. Stone.
Yeah?
Let's go.
I'll tell the lieutenant. I'll meet you up on the roof.
Okay.
Randy Stone?
Yeah?
My name is Ralph Benton, Mr. Stone.
Oh?
University of Chicago. I'm taking a P.H.D. in psychiatry.
Oh, yeah.
No, wait. Will you, look, this is what I'm studying. This.
The psychology of that man up there.
Oh, later on, son.
Look, from the time they're children, behavior patterns, you can tell them.
Sure, I'll see you.
No, wait, look, I've got to tell somebody about it.
About what?
This is the time when something can be done. People aroused.
Can be done about what?
Well, that kind of a man, Mr. Stone, the psychopath.
Uh-huh. Well, who does what about it?
Well, the people have to do it. They're sick. That kind of person is just sick. You can help through your column.
Yeah, well, it won't help right now up there. I'll see you later, son.
Look, Mr. Stone, I've got a plan. That building on the next block, from the roof.
Well, what about it?
Well, it's right on the line with the church belfry. Now, if you had a rifle with telescopic sights and you waited for the right chance.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that might work.
Now, listen to me. Listen. You've got no chance up there. You haven't done anything yet. Don't do anything foolish. Come down. We won't harm you.
Why doesn't he answer?
He doesn't want to show himself.
Oh, yeah.
A rifle, one shot. It would have to be one shot. It would have to kill him instantly. Or he'd kill the boy.
NBC is bringing you Night Beat, starring Frank Lovejoy as Randy Stone.
It's the Silver Jubilee on NBC. We have three fellows we'd like you to meet. I'm speaking about Malone, Kane, and the man called X. Each is in the same business, and a dangerous business it is. Outthinking and many times outgunning national as well as international criminals. Make a listening reminder to hear The Amazing Mr. Malone and the Man Called X on Friday. And beginning Sunday, July 1st, Martin Kane, Private Eye. 3 invitations to high adventure over NBC.
And now back to Night Beat and Randy Stone.
I told Lieutenant Sterling about the rifle and the binoculars, and he thought it might be a chance. Risky, because the first shot would have to be the only shot, but a chance. I went to a cigar store on the corner, into a phone booth, and dialed the Southside Hunting Club. I wanted Charlie Peterson, the national champion rifle marksman, and I was lucky. He was there in the club room. I told him what I wanted.
Of course, Randy. I'll have to pick up my gun at the club downstairs in the shop. I left it for a minor adjustment on the sights. I'll meet you on the roof in 15 minutes.
You want to know what it looked like from the top of that building down the street? There were these searchlights pinpointing the stone tower and the tiny windows at the top. No glass of frame other than the cold stone itself. And down below, the fire trucks, the police cars, the crowd of people milling around, their faces turned upward. Occasionally in the darkness, you could see the flash of a photographer's bulb. And over the whole scene, there was a restlessness, because up there was a man and a boy. And death was electric in the air. Lieutenant Sterling and Officer Connors were up on the rooftop with me, waiting for Peterson, the rifle marksman, to join us.
You see anything with those binoculars, Stone?
No. You can't see inside the tower. It's just a black hole.
How's Peterson going to aim?
I don't know. There was a way to get some light.
Searchlight?
Yeah, right up here on this roof. It's on a level with that belfry.
Well, we can try. Connors.
Yes?
Let's get a searchlight up here.
It wasn't as simple as it sounded. The firemen worked with the police in rigging up a block and tackle. They put it on the far side of the roof so that the man in the tower couldn't see what was going on if he happened to look our way. In the middle of the preparations, Charlie Peterson arrived, and we had to explain everything to him. And there was quite a lot of explaining.
Sure, I understand. You're going to flash that searchlight on the tower window, and when he sticks his head out, I shoot.
That's right. You shoot once.
About 200 yards. Wish I'd been able to check these sights. Wind drift past 7 miles set it off about 2 inches at 200 yards.
Can't be a near miss, Peterson. If you only wound him, it'll be the end of the child.
200 yards. When are you going to set up that light?
Well, it's being set up now.
When you spot that window, I'll be able to get a good bead.
We can't spot it, Peterson.
Huh?
The minute we throw the spotlight in that window and light up the tower, he'll probably react.
Take it out on the kid.
So we've got to wait until you're ready. When we snap on the light, you've got to be set to fire immediately. We can't even afford to miss the window with the light the first time.
Oh, I see.
You understand it now?
The rifle was in the shop. It's supposed to be true now. It was a 2-inch drift, but even a half-inch.
Even a half-inch. How big is the heart?
2.5, 3 inches.
200 yards. Maybe I'd better use a kneeling position. Steady.
Whatever's most comfortable.
Oh, prone's the best, but...
Yeah, I know you can't lie down the wall. This is an awful responsibility, Lieutenant. If someone were on the PA and got to talking to him, maybe he'd show at the window.
Connors, get down there and make with the loudspeaker, huh?
Yes, sir.
Just one shot. It could be a bullseye and still not kill him. Can you see anything over there with the glasses, Stone?
No. How about it, Sterling? We almost ready?
Almost.
All right, Peterson?
All right. Stone.
Yeah.
This is the only way that there's no other way, nothing else to do?
Nothing that we know of. Sure, it's a gamble, but it's a bigger gamble just waiting for him to do something.
Sure.
It's no disgrace to back out, Peterson.
Games? I only played games with a rifle.
But this isn't a game.
Rifle fixed at the shop. Even a half-inch miss. I could still hit the bullseye and not kill him.
It isn't a disgrace.
You up there?
That's Connors. Ready, Mr. Peterson?
Release the boy.
Yeah.
I'll give you a 3 count. When I get to 3, you switch on the light, Sterling.
Right.
If the boy is
You'll do it, Peterson. I'll have my glasses ready. Okay, Sterling?
Go ahead.
You up there?
I'm ready.
1,
This is the break.
2, 3.
Release the boy.
Lights.
Shoot, man, shoot.
I can't see.
Hold it. The window, it's boarded up. He put a board in the window.
I don't think I could have pressed the trigger. I don't think I could have.
That was the end of the roof experiment. Peterson left, and Sterling and I went back down to the street. I started through the crowd, dark faces still upturned, and Sterling went back to the PA.
Why don't they do something? I left Billy sitting in the booth, and I said I'd be right back, but I can't go back in. It just can't go away. Something might happen the minute I turn my back.
You haven't killed anyone. You haven't done anything really wrong yet. Come down.
Do you think
You won't be hurt. You have our word. You won't be hurt.
He's scared stiff up there. I remember one time I locked myself in the room when I was a kid, and my folks hammered at the door. I couldn't move. I was so scared.
Hello, Mr. Stone.
Oh.
Mr. Stone, do you remember the Hirons case? Well, they follow a pattern. This man broke into a house. He was caught. And to prevent himself being found out, he killed.
Yeah, I remember. But you were kind of young when it happened.
15, but I'm studying it now in class. This man loves it up there. All the fear in him, the hate for the world. He'll show him. He'll show him.
What did you say your name is?
Benton, Ralph Benton. I've got some theories.
Okay. Maybe they're theories. What are they?
He doesn't want to kill. He'll only do it if he's forced to. You've got to understand the ego. He feels as though the whole world's against him. He's got to prove himself. It starts out with bragging, and then he feels sorry for himself. Nobody loves him. From infancy on, you can trace the pattern. When he's 7, 8, 10, 12, building all the time, going from stealing something because he's putting something over on the world. Not because he wants what he steals.
You sound like a textbook.
Well, I tell you, Mr. Stone, I've studied. I'm majoring in it. When you understand the psychology of that kind of man, you can find the way to overcome him.
All right. What's your idea?
Everybody leave him alone.
Leave him alone?
Yes. Simple, isn't it? You see, if everybody goes away, the limelight will disappear. He hears that voice on the loudspeaker, and it swells his ego. That's what he wants. He's saying to himself, it's me. It's me, all this fuss and bother. It's for me.
So take away this fuss and bother, and you think he won't harm the boy?
Yes, that's right. He's sick up there. Don't you see? Sick in his mind. Insane. But the law doesn't say he's insane. The law says a person is insane when he can't tell right from wrong. But this man knows the difference between right and wrong, so the law says he's sane.
All right, then what is it?
Well, I say he's insane. He can tell right from wrong, but he can't control himself. He can't keep himself from doing wrong. Isn't that being sick, Mr. Stone?
But why would this man take a young boy along with him?
Well, maybe the boy saw him.
You mean he saw him stealing?
Yes, that's right.
Then what?
Well, maybe he lived around that neighborhood, and the man would be exposed as a thief. So what does he do? He wants to protect himself. He doesn't want to kill the boy, but he doesn't want the boy to tell who broke into the house. So, well, what can he do?
Look, let's push through here. I want to speak to Father Cleary.
Don't you see? Don't you understand? He doesn't want to kill the boy, but all these people are forcing him into it. It's a challenge to his ego. They'll sit up then and take notice. So, look, why don't we leave him alone? Go away. Just everybody go away and take the sin of attraction away from him. And then...
He doesn't want to kill?
No.
Sure of that?
Sure.
There we are. Let's go inside.
It's so quiet in here.
Yeah. Hello, Father.
Is there anything new, Randy?
Maybe. Let's go over there, Ralph.
Yeah.
Another element of the psychopath, Ralph, is that he likes to flirt with danger. Unless people know him as an individual, he doesn't get any pleasure out of being the center of attraction.
Yes.
Right here. First, you tell me a rifle shot is a good way to stop him. And then you put a board over the window. That told me, Ralph. That told me.
I know.
How did you get down from the belfry?
An old passageway down in the basement through the tunnel that leads to Father Clary's house behind the church.
Uh-huh.
You can kneel if you want to, son. It'll be easier that way.
Yes, Father. I want to kneel.
It's all right now, Randy.
Thank you, Father. I'm going upstairs and get Jody Levering. So it was sanctuary after all, wasn't it? Jody was unharmed, frightened, though. It left a deeper scar on his mother and father. It left a scar on me, too. I wonder how many of those people out there on the street felt cheated. Nothing happened. Nothing. No murder. No killing. Nobody thrown out of the tower. All it was that somebody came to church for sanctuary. Yep. Copy, boy.
Night Beat, starring Frank Lovejoy, is produced and directed by Warren Lewis. Tonight's transcribed story was written by Celie Glester and Merwin Gerard, with music by Robert Armbruster. The part of Benton was played by Stacey Harris. Others in tonight's cast were Joan Banks, Norman Field, John Stevenson, Harry Bartell, Jack Crucian, and Ted DeCorsia. Frank Lovejoy can currently be seen co-starring with Joan Crawford and Robert Young in Warner Brothers' Goodbye, My Fancy. Listen next week at this time and every week as Randy Stone searches through the city for the strange stories waiting for him in the darkness. Night Beat came to you from Hollywood.
It's the Silver Jubilee on NBC.
Beginning in 2 weeks, another top mystery show, Martin Caine, Private Eye, joins your NBC lineup. And here is the star of this new series, one of your favorite motion picture actors, Lloyd Nolan.
Thank you. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, on Sunday, July 1st, I'll be on hand as Martin Caine, Private Eye, my new role on this same station.
Listen to Lloyd Nolan as Martin Caine, Private Eye, on this same NBC station every Sunday beginning July 1st.
This I believe. It is often said that the hope of the world lies in the education and intelligent care of youth, everywhere. A man who has devoted his life to this cause is Dr. John R. Voorhees, president of the Save the Children Federation, whose personal beliefs we now hear.
I believe that youth is lucky who has parents who are acquainted with God. I grew up in a modest, self-respecting, Puritan-like home in a democratic Midwest. My God-fearing father, a small contracting carpenter, was continuously an elder in the Presbyterian Church from his very early manhood to the time of his death at 94 years of age. Father's God, in keeping with Dutch Huguenot tradition, was a just, stern, Holy Spirit. Mother's God was a friend, and Mother's outstanding characteristic was her love of people. My early youth was spent in a community of independent, patriotic people where class distinctions were at a minimum, where love of country was high, where the idealistic impulses of youth were encouraged. My young manhood was spent in directing YMCA religious work, in teaching grade school and later in a state university, and in the ministry. For 32 years, I have been in social work centering on children overseas and at home, during which time I have seen people starving, homeless, suffering from neglect, or from mere lack of incentive and of opportunity, or indeed from the injustices of their fellow men. And yet, experience has taught me that the good and the bad are to be found in every human institution as well as in every human heart. I have lived through the periods of 2 great wars and a 3rd partial one, through the inception and growth of the radio, motion picture, and television, and through the conquest of the air. The world has grown smaller and seemingly more complex and confusing, but only because we see its workings more clearly, and not, I believe, because it is growing worse in the evolution of mankind from the primitive to the civilized state. Historical perspective makes me feel that the world is growing better, not worse. I believe that the idea of God, the Supreme Spirit, is far more all-inclusive than the Hebraic concept, high as that is from an ethical point of view. Wider than the Western churches in their formulations conceive it to be. It must take into consideration the great Eastern religions. It may include many noble concepts which have their sources in the so-called secular world, but which have been left out of the creeds of the churches. It seems to me that the most inspiring and the freshest interpretations of a supreme being that have come in the past century have risen in the fields of science, education, arts, music, literature, nature, philanthropy, and social service. I believe that I, as a man, can continuously commune with God and subject myself confidently to His leadership, and that in so doing I may obtain not only inner poise, stability, serenity, and balance, but that I can most usefully serve the world and myself in whatever nick of life I find myself.
That was Dr. John R. Voorhees, a native of Indiana, now a resident of Los Angeles, a dedicated social worker who has translated his convictions into action.
Listen while the makers of Rexall drug products and 10,000 independent Rexall family druggists bring you Dick Powell as Richard Diamond, private detective.
Good evening. This is your Rexall family druggist, speaking to you for the 10,000 independent druggists who have made the word Rexall part of our own store names, and who recommend and sell the 2,000 or more drug products made with the Rexall Drug Company. Like MI31, for example, Rexall's popular mouthwash, gargle, and breath deodorant. Full-strength MI31 kills contacted germs in seconds. Its zippy, tangy quality leaves a happy aftertaste. For a reliable yet refreshing mouthwash, use Rexall MI31. And remember, you can depend on any drug product that bears the name Rexall.
Good health to all from Rexall. Now, your Rexall family druggist brings you a transcribed half hour with Richard Diamond, private detective, starring Dick Powell. Dick's special guest star tonight is what was your name again?
I'm sorry, but I really can't tell you.
You can't tell me. Well, Rexall brings you Richard Diamond, starring Dick Powell.
Wow. Morning, Mr. Diamond.
Morning, Charlie. Oh, fix me something, will you?
Like that, huh? You look pretty good.
Oh, you should have seen me when I got up. Both my heads were hissing each other.
I'll fix you my special. You snapped right out of it.
Well, take it easy. I tried snapping out of it this morning and scattered myself all over the room.
You relax for a minute. Just getting to work?
Yeah. Helen gave a party last night. I think it turned out to be the finals of the roller derby. Ever swallow a roller skate, Charlie?
Once on a dare, a mouse.
Oh.
Sorry.
Charlie!
Gotta mix it.
Oh, that's a horrible machine to have in a bar. Some poor guy's liable to end up with shell shock.
Here. Hold your breath so you don't change your mind.
What's in it?
In your condition, that is a very touchy question. You just drink it, you'll feel better.
Okay.
No fudging all the way.
Charlie!
All the way? What are you, chicken?
Oh, I knew it. You snitched this stuff from a fire extinguisher.
Tastes terrible, don't it?
What are you going to thaw me out with, a chisel?
Now, I know it ain't that bad.
No? A mortician would pay good money for the formula.
Well, look what came in the front door.
Hmm? Oh, yes, sir.
Pardon me, but I'm looking for someone.
There's nobody here but me and Mr. Diamond.
Here's a picture of him. Has he been in here?
Oh, lady, a lot of people come in here.
No, I mean this morning.
Mr. Diamond's my first customer.
Oh.
Something wrong, miss?
I've just got to find him. I don't know where to look.
What made you think he'd be in here?
I'm trying every place that's open. I lost him in this block someplace.
Lost?
Well, he just disappeared.
Who is he?
My husband.
Oh.
I stopped to look at some hats in the window. I started talking about how pretty they were, and the next thing I turned around and he was gone.
You called home?
We're living at a hotel. He hasn't shown up there. I've called everyone I know in New York.
You're from out of town?
Yes. Oh, I'm so worried.
Well, honey, from this picture, your husband looks old enough to find his way around. Why don't you go on back to the hotel?
You don't understand. My husband had quite a shock earlier this morning, and he was acting strangely.
So you figure he might have gone looking for a drink?
I don't know what I thought. It isn't like him to wander off like that. I'm so worried.
Well, if you're that upset, why don't you go to the law? Missing persons.
I thought about that, but I can't.
You can't go to the police?
I can't explain why. It just wouldn't be good.
Would you mind a completely new remark?
What?
Haven't I seen you before, Miss...
No.
Nice name.
Mr. Diamond sees a lot of people. Used to be a cop himself.
Oh.
Private detective now.
Private detective?
Seems to me I've seen your husband someplace before, too. Is this an old picture?
Yes, I carry it around in my wallet. Are you really a private detective, Mr.
Diamond, Miss...
Like Sam Spade?
Well, no. Sam drinks and runs around with women. I lead a rather sheltered life. Steady, Charlie.
Mr. Diamond, I'm really frightened. I'm sure something awful's happened to my husband. Will you help me?
I might, if you tell me two things.
What are they?
Why you can't go to the police, and if you can afford $100 a day in expenses.
Oh, I can afford the money.
You should have answered the first question first. Now I'm almost tempted to forget the last one.
But I can't go to the police.
Dear, when people can't go to the police, it worries me. Your old man got a record or something?
A record?
Well, I've seen both of you someplace. You sure you aren't working some kind of a racket?
Now, lady, take it easy.
I lose my husband. I come in here for help, and you think I'm some sort of a criminal or something.
Look, dear,
I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. I don't want to go to the police, and it has nothing to do with breaking the law.
Shame on you, Diamond. Here, lady, here's a handkerchief.
Thank you.
Look, I'm sorry.
No, you're not. You're terrible.
Oh, please. Look, I'm in pretty bad shape myself. Okay, I'll help you.
Wonderful, Mr. Diamond. Where can we talk?
Hey, she turns him off like a hydrant.
You'll help me?
Oh, yes. $100 a day in expenses.
Certainly.
Get her.
Yeah. You sure you didn't dip into one of Charlie's specials?
I don't drink.
This isn't drinking. It's like diving into an active volcano.
Where can we talk?
One of the booths.
Good. I don't want anyone else to know about this.
You mean after this build-up, I ain't even going to hear what it's all about?
Come on, dear. Relax, Charlie. Have one of your specials. Who knows? You may be the first one to reach the moon.
Is this booth all right, Mr. Diamond?
Just fine. Now sit down, dear, and tell me all about it.
Well, there's really not much to tell. I took my husband to an appointment this morning.
What kind of an appointment?
I can't tell you.
And you can't tell me your husband's name?
No.
Not even his first name?
Well, I guess I could tell you his first name. It's Richard.
Richard?
Yes.
You can't tell me any more?
No.
You want me to find him and you want me to trust you?
If you will.
Will you trust me?
Yes.
Then I'll try and find Richard, but I'll need some help.
I'll try.
No, please. I'll need some outside help.
Who?
A policeman.
Oh, no, I told you.
And I told you. You want me to trust you? Okay, that's what I'm going to do, but you got to trust me, too.
But the police...
If you and your husband aren't in trouble with the police, you got nothing to worry about.
But the police...
Not the police, a policeman. One man.
But he'll find out why Richard disappeared.
Well, don't you want to know why?
I know why, but I don't want anyone else to know why.
You don't want anyone else? You know why, but you... Oh, don't let me do this to myself.
I just want to find him.
Okay. I promise the policeman won't say anything. I'm trusting that you have a good reason for not telling me any more than you have, but to find a man, this man in the picture, and an old photograph at that, to find this man needs a lot of doing. Checking hospitals.
Hospitals?
Now, don't start crying.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go on.
When you've got to check hospitals, morgues...
Morgues?
Look, dear. You wait.
No, I'm going with you.
Good girl.
Charlie, thank you for being so patient.
A pleasure, miss.
Shall we go, Mr. Diamond?
Yeah. And, Charlie...
Yes?
I'd like to thank you, too.
Anytime.
Your hospitality and good manners are only equaled by your loyalty and perspicacity.
Huh?
All in all, you've been a living doll. Being a person who lives out in left field most of the time myself, I realize that these little disturbances in my life are pretty average. So with cute little Anonymous tagging along behind, I left Charlie's fancy bistro and headed for the 5th Precinct Police Station and the good Lieutenant Levinson. When we walked into the squad room, we bumped right into the one thing that science had been working 24 hours a day to find a cure for. Well, good afternoon, Sergeant Otis.
Oh, how are you, Diamond? Hey.
Oh, unpucker, Otis. Mrs. X will think the lieutenant uses you to unstop sinks.
Mrs. X. What kind of a name is that?
You want to meet the lady? That's the name.
Mrs. X?
How do you do, Sergeant?
Oh, hey, ain't I seen you someplace before?
Otis, haven't I seen you someplace before?
Now, what are you talking about, Chalmers? Sure you've seen me before.
Mr. Diamond?
Yeah, but this is nothing. Stick around him for a whole day sometime. Come on, let's see the lieutenant.
I'll see you later, Mrs.
Yes, Sergeant. It's been a pleasure.
Otis.
Yeah?
Your eyes are hanging out so far they cover your badge.
Oh.
Hello, Walt.
Hi, Rick.
Yeah. This is Mrs. X, Walt. Dear, this is the mighty arm of the law, Lieutenant Levinson.
How do you do, Lieutenant?
How do you do, Mrs. X?
Oh, let's not go into this thing again. The young lady prefers to be known as Mrs. X. Now, Walt, I want you to do me a favor.
Yeah, young lady, haven't I seen you someplace
before? Yeah, Walt. Even Otis is with us on that one. I said the same thing when she found me in Charlie's bar. Now, the young lady's lost her husband, and I'm going to help her find him. Here's his picture. See if you got anything.
Oh, yeah. Are you sure I haven't seen you?
Walt, we'll solve that one later. The picture. Go make like a policeman.
Okay. She got a record?
Lieutenant.
Oh, I never forget her face.
He's been trying to ever since he got Otis. Now, come on, Walt. Get a report for missing persons. Check the hospitals and the morgue.
The morgue.
Lady.
It's a habit. Honey, we got to do these things just in case.
But you think he's...
Give me that picture. Lady, please. Now. What's your husband's name?
She can't tell you that, Walt.
What do you mean she can't tell me that?
I can't.
Now, you look, Diamond. If this is one of your...
His first name is Richard.
Richard what?
That's something I really can't tell you. I wouldn't have told Mr. Diamond the Richard part, but it just sort of slipped out.
Wait, what are you two trying to do to me? You come in here and ask me to locate this guy in the picture, and you won't even tell me his last name?
Look, Walt, I promise you'll do me the favor without the questions. The young lady seems to have a very good reason for not wanting to give her name or her husband's. Now, all I want you to do is check the morgues.
What's the matter with her?
She wants her husband.
Yes, I want my husband.
Before we continue with the adventures of Richard Diamond, private detective, here's your Rexall family druggist.
It's always a pleasure when a customer herself tells you why she likes your product. And last week one said to me...
You know why I really prefer Rexall milk of magnesia? It's because one bottle won't be so thick I can't even pour it, and then the next one thin and watery. Somehow Rexall milk of magnesia always seems to be just right.
Well, ma'am, that's because every bottle of Rexall milk of magnesia has to meet an exacting standard of viscosity, or it can't wear the Rexall label.
What do you mean by viscosity?
It's the degree of thickness or pourability in a liquid. Rexall conducts scientifically precise tests on every batch of Rexall milk of magnesia to be sure it meets this constant standard of viscosity. And that's not done just to please you with its consistency. What's much more important, it means you'll always get uniform dosage from every bottle of Rexall milk of magnesia.
And I thought it was all an accident.
Oh, no, ma'am. There are no accidents behind the fact. You can depend on any drug product that bears the name Rexall.
And now back to tonight's adventure with Richard Diamond, private detective, starring Dick Powell.
Well, I checked, and no one that looks like this guy is in any of the usual places.
Well, that's fine. Now let's start looking for him where I lost him, Mr. Diamond.
Oh, swell. Well, Walt, we really just stopped by to say hello. Killing time, you know.
Sure.
I appreciate everything you've done, Captain.
Lieutenant.
Of course. Thank you very much. But now Mr. Diamond and I have to go and find my husband.
Richard.
Yes.
I think you'd better wait a few minutes.
What for?
Yes, we've got to hurry. I've got to find my husband before the 8 o'clock plane leaves this evening.
You're leaving tonight?
You didn't tell me that.
Well, Richard has to be in California by tomorrow morning.
Got a little job to do?
A very big job, Captain.
Lieutenant.
Well, what do you want us to wait for?
Because I've got Otis checking on this girl, this Mrs. X.
Oh, no.
Walt, you promised.
I promised nothing. You assumed.
Oh, you're a fine buddy.
Buddy schmuddy. You might be taken in by her sweet innocence, but not me.
You double-crosser.
Mr. Diamond, you promised.
But I didn't, lady. I just checked the morgues. Oh, now you shut up, Walt.
Well, I never.
I've seen this girl someplace, Rick, and I've got a sneaking suspicion she's wanted.
Wanted?
You can't cross me like this, Fatty.
Wanted?
Won't tell me her name, huh?
No.
Won't tell me your husband's name, huh?
No.
Then you're hiding something.
Yes.
Yes?
Why, yes, meaning of course.
Now you stop that, Rick.
Rick. Is your name Richard, too, Mr. Diamond?
No, my friends call me Rick.
You ever in Chicago, lady?
Of course.
Of course.
O-F-C-O-U-R-S-E.
You stay out of this. You run around with Tony Capone when you were in Chicago?
You talking to me?
I'm talking to her.
Well, I'm glad. Tony never gave me back my elk's tooth.
Well, I don't know why you're talking to me, Captain. I never gave Mr. Capone an elk's tooth.
Oh.
It's Lieutenant, dear. You gotta stop promoting him. You'll get a swell head.
You rat!
You call me, Lieutenant?
No!
Well, gee, don't scare me like that. I got something on this picture you gave me.
Her husband?
Yeah. Hello, Mrs. X.
Hello, Corporal.
Otis.
Yeah. You won't like it, Lieutenant.
I won't like what?
What I got on this picture.
Something's happened to Richard.
Now, take it easy.
Well, what did you find out? I'll tell you whether I like it or not.
Well, I sent it down to the boys in the morning.
No! What you've done, you mallet head.
Well, gee, what did I say?
You said more.
No. Now, honey, listen. This morgue is where they keep photographs.
Oh.
Well, what did they come up with, Sergeant?
I mean, she sure looks pretty when she cries like that.
Otis.
Well, I shall quote from the report. Person in said photograph resembles one Richard Diamond, private detective.
What did you say?
Come to think of it, you do, Mr. Diamond.
I shall continue. Member of the New York Police Force for 7 years. Height 6'1", 190.
80.
The general conformation of the head. Note. Right ear...
Otis, shut up.
Oh, it gets real interesting. You didn't tell me about getting mixed up with that stand dancer back in 39, Diamond.
I was simply interested in starting an ostrich farm.
Otis.
Yeah?
Do you think that picture looks like Mr. Diamond?
Kinda.
Thank you, Patrolman Lovelow.
Patrolman?
Yes, and if I ever catch you wearing a sergeant's stripes again, I'll put you on a beat so far out that I'll have to fly food into you. Now get out of here.
Sergeant Levinson.
Lady, please, it's Lieutenant.
Well, I don't care what it is. I think you were just horrible to that nice little policeman.
Is that right?
It certainly is. And I'm going to write a letter to the governor about you.
Now, wait a minute.
And what's more, I'm going to tell him what a horrible, mean, impolite person you are.
But
I come in here with Mr. Diamond, and simply because I won't tell you my name, you accuse me of being a mop.
Mop?
Yes, mop. One of those gangsters' girls.
Moll.
Yes. And just because everyone thinks they've seen me before, I'm accused of all sorts of things.
But, lady,
No telling what's happened to my poor, wonderful husband.
Lady, please, lady.
You big bully.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. I apologize.
Can Sergeant Loveloon have his stripes back?
Yes.
No, thank you very much. Come on, Mr. Diamond. We've got to find Richard. Goodbye, Major.
Well, I was in it up to my neck. Any other time, a client like Mrs. X would have scared me right into 4 months of hibernation. But she was such a cute little screwball that I just had to go along with it. We took the picture that looked something like yours truly and started making the rounds. Starting with the last place Mrs. X had seen her husband, we showed the picture to every shop owner within a 4-block circle, but no one had seen him. Mrs. X kept checking with the hotel, making me stay at a good distance so I couldn't hear the conversation. But no one had seen her husband. We ended up right back where I first ran into her, Charlie's.
Wow. Find him?
No.
Look, dear, why don't you check again with this place that you and your husband went to this morning for his business appointment? Maybe you went back there.
Well, I guess I could try it again.
Phone in the back on the wall.
Thanks, I'll call him.
No luck, Diamond?
No. How do I get into these things, Charlie?
When someone wants to give you $100 a day in expenses, you get into them. Phone.
Brilliant deduction.
Hello?
A little lady will get it.
Mr. Diamond.
Yeah?
It's for you. Captain Levinson.
You've been promoted?
Several times in the last hour.
You think he's heard something about Richard?
Might be. Yeah, what is it, Fatty?
Thought you might be there.
What made you think of Charlie's?
Well, it's pretty obvious you had a hangover.
Well, maybe I stuck a bicycle pump in my nose and pumped up my head just to get a laugh out of Otis. You'll have to do better than that.
You told me you met the girl at Charlie's.
Shrewd.
Is it something important?
Honey, just relax. I'm getting to it.
But if it's about Richard...
The girl there?
Yeah. What's on your mind?
Well, I don't know if it means anything, but we just got a report from the Johnson Sanatorium.
Johnson Sanatorium. Never heard of it.
Over on 84th Street.
The missing husband?
I don't know. The report fitted his description, but who knows from that old photograph.
Well, it's worth checking. What's the address?
644 East 84th Street. Seems they found this guy wandering around the streets.
Johnson Sanatorium, 644 East 84th Street, huh? Did he give his name?
Amnesia, loss of memory. Seemed to be suffering from shock. Thought I'd let you get there first. I'm kind of sorry for the girl when I realized the story might be kosher.
Okay, Walt, I'll check it, thanks.
Meet you there.
Well, honey, that might be... Hey. Charlie.
Yeah?
Mrs. X, where'd she go?
Took out of here like she was shot out of a gun. Something wrong?
When are you going to stop asking stupid questions? Well, that tore it. Mrs. X was probably on her way over to the Johnson Sanatorium and with a good head start. So I went out and grabbed a cab for 84th Street and kicked myself a dozen times for getting mixed up in a situation like that. Why not forget the whole thing and get some rest until my head returned to a normal circumference? Answer. Because I'd wasted a whole afternoon looking for the missing husband and hadn't even got a retainer.
Yes, sir. Is something I can do for you, perhaps?
I'm looking for the man you reported as...
Hello, Rick.
Oh, Walt. Have you seen Mrs. X?
I just this minute got her. She's been and gone.
What about the guy you got the report on?
Took him with her.
The young lady came in, took a look at the man, claimed it was her husband, paid his bill, and left.
You let him go like that? I thought the man had amnesia.
Well, yes, he was suffering from some kind of shock and had temporarily lost his memory.
But you just let him walk out of here with...
Rick, let him finish his story.
The minute the man saw the young lady, he snapped right out of it. She said they had to hurry to catch a plane or something, had a lot of packing to do.
Did she give a name?
Yes, he signed the release.
Here, let me see it.
Now, take it easy, Rick. It's signed Mrs. Richard Diamond.
She used my name?
Is that your name?
You're darn right it is. She leave any address?
Phony, I checked.
Oh, swell.
I'll cover the airports if it'll make you happy.
Oh, it'll make me very happy. She did nothing for my hangover. She didn't pay me 1 Rev cent for my trouble, and I think I may be getting hives. Oh, I'm going over to Helen's and have a complete nervous breakdown.
How do you feel now?
Oh, I'm all right, Helen, dear, but my ulcers just had a parade.
Any word from Walt?
No.
Miss Helen,
Yes, what is it, Francis?
a young lady at the door for Mr. Diamond.
I'll get it.
I'll bet you will.
Wow.
Hello, Mr. Diamond.
Now, look, I've got something to say
I
to
can't
you.
stop to talk. My husband's waiting in the car, and we have to catch a plane.
Now, you look,
I want to thank you very much for all you've done, and I want to apologize for running out on you.
But your husband...
He's fine, thank you. He just lost his memory for a while.
Now, I'm not
I
gonna-
haven't got time to tell you anymore. We've got to catch a plane.
But you-
Oh, I said that. Here's an envelope.
But I-
It explains everything, and there's something in it for you.
But you can't-
And here's something else because you've been so wonderful.
But...
I hope if you ever get to California, you'll look us up. Goodbye, and thank you again for everything. You're wonderful. Bye.
Well,
Hmm?
all right, Blue Eyes. What was that all about?
Hmm? Oh, well, that was her. She. The girl.
The girl.
Mrs. X.
What's that?
Hmm? Oh, it's an envelope. Said it would explain everything.
I hope it does, especially that fond farewell.
Oh, that. She was just being grateful.
Yeah. Go on, open the envelope.
Pardon, Miss Helen. Now it's the phone. Lieutenant Levinson for Mr. Diamond.
I better tell him about the girl.
You'd better read what's in that envelope.
Hello, Walt.
Rick, that dame phoned Otis. Asked where she could find you.
Oh, that's how she found the place.
Yeah, the melonhead told her you might be over at Helen's. Gave her... She's been there?
Just left. And she left an envelope that she said would explain everything.
Well, what did it say?
I haven't read it.
Well, read it. I want to know what this is all about.
So does Helen.
Well?
$500.
The explanation?
What about the letter?
Well, it says, Dear Mr. Diamond, I know that I've caused you a great deal of trouble, so I wish to take this opportunity
To thank you for your patience and understanding. As for an explanation, well, here it is. But I count on your discretion and hope that you will keep my secret. This morning, my husband and I went to a doctor because I hadn't been feeling well. We discovered and were overjoyed to find out that I was going to have a baby. Immediately, I informed my husband that I had decided to give up working until after I had the baby. The realization that I wasn't going to make any more money for the rest of the year was too much for him. The shock made him lose his mind, and he just wandered off. Although he has recovered his memory, the thought of having to support us both for the rest of the year has left him nervous and despondent. So I'm taking him back to the coast to the family psychiatrist.
I wish to thank you from the bottom of my heart for all your kindness and help. Signed,
Sign who?
Rick!
Helen, what's wrong?
He's fainted.
What?
He looked at the signature on the letter and just flopped over.
Well, what about the signature?
It's signed June Allison.
Again, here's your Rexall family druggist.
Whenever you have a headache, remember this about Rexall aspirin. When taken with water, the 5 full grains of pure aspirin in every Rexall tablet are ready to go to work for you even before they reach your stomach. Yes, whenever you have a headache, remember that about Rexall aspirin. Ask for it at Rexall drugstores everywhere. And remember always, you can depend on any drug product that bears the name Rexall.
Good health to all from Rexall. Richard Diamond, Private Detective, stars Dick Powell in the title role and is written by Blake Edwards with music composed and conducted by Frank Worth. June Allison appeared through the courtesy of Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer and will soon be seen co-starring with Dick Powell in the MGM motion picture Right Cross. Featured in tonight's cast were Virginia Gregg, Ted DeCorsia, Wilms Herbert, and Bob Sweeney. Richard Diamond, Private Detective, was transcribed in Hollywood by Jaime Del Valle. This is Bill Foreman inviting you to be with us next Wednesday at this time when we will again bring you Dick Powell as Richard Diamond, Private Detective.
Hiya, beautiful.
Get lost, Bristlepuss. You need a shave.
But I have shaved. What else do you want me to do?
Silly boy, she wants you to go Stag.
Go Stag? But why?
Because Stag is Rexall's exclusive line of men's good grooming aids, like Stag Brushless Shave Cream. No fuss, no massage, just smooth it on, and presto, you get a clean, close shave. Your face stays smooth and whiskerless all day long.
I'll do it. I'll go Stag.
That's it. Join the Stag line now at Rexall drugstores everywhere.
Yes, to make girls care. Go Stag.
Bill Bendix leads The Life of Riley again Friday on NBC.
This I Believe. John W. Nason is president of Swarthmore College and one of this country's outstanding educators. This is what he believes.
When I was in college, I stumbled on a saying of the philosopher William James. The great use of a life is to spend it for something that outlasts it. Everybody, it seems to me, has in varying degrees a desire to make an impression, to leave some kind of mark behind him. It is part of the justification he needs for life itself. So much the better, James implies, if this mark can be something useful, durable, and good. There are a lot of ways of spending one's life for something that outlasts it. The statesman can do it in trying to build a better political community. The minister, priest, or rabbi can do it by giving a clearer meaning to religion. The businessman does it when he builds a business that is bigger than himself. Ordinary mortals like ourselves can do it too, by spending extra time and energy, for example, on a hospital or a community playground, by believing enough in our families to give our children as much responsible attention as any other career. My way is education, and here I come close to the personal convictions that keep me going. I believe that it is better to know than not to know. I believe that there are lovely things to be found in this often ugly world, and that a person made sensitive to beauty leads a richer life than one who shuts his eyes and ears to it. I believe that there are possibilities for goodness in every human being, possibilities which can be nourished by education. Of course, there are many educated men and women who never went to college, and some who never went to school at all. To be educated is a state of mind. The high school certificate and the college diploma are incidental. But every teacher labors with the hope that what he does will make life fuller and more valuable for somebody. Indeed, for a lot of somebodies. In all these ways of living, we face outwards, concerned with other people. There would be no point to such activities if we did not believe in the value of human beings as such. It is not always easy to find either dignity or worth in the lives of many people. I believe, however, that the capacity for dignity and worth are there, and that it is our task to create the kind of world in which they can flourish. It follows from what I have been saying that the greatest evil is self-centeredness. As I see it, to live for oneself alone is the real tragedy. Selfishness, intolerance, bigotry, indifference, these sins of the spirit are in my moral code worse than the sins of the flesh. Civilization has been described as a race between education and catastrophe. That was never truer than of our modern world, where we must learn to unite in order to keep, quite literally, from destroying ourselves. The convictions I have just expressed could be and are held by people who have rejected religion in the conventional sense of the term. I would be less than honest if I did not conclude with my personal belief that the values I have been talking about are somehow embodied in the world as we know it. I do not think that courage, gentleness, integrity, truth, beauty, and goodness are the inventions of man. They are an objective part of our universe, which is in some sense ruled by God. It is perhaps not necessary to believe this, to believe that the great use of a life is to spend it for something which outlasts it. But I find both comfort and strength in the belief that we live in a moral universe.
There you have heard the beliefs of John W. Nason, president of Swarthmore College, and of the World Affairs Council of Philadelphia.
Ipana for the smile of beauty. Sal Hepatica for the smile of health. Present
Mr. District Attorney, champion of the people, defender of truth, guardian of our fundamental rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Mr. District Attorney is brought to you by two famous Bristol-Myers products, Ipana and the Sal Hepatica. Ipana for the smile of beauty. Sal Hepatica for the smile of health. Ipana, Sal Hepatica. And it shall be my duty as District Attorney not only to prosecute to the limit of the law all persons
crimes perpetrated within this county, but to defend with equal vigor the rights and privileges of all its citizens. In our constant experience with men who live by fraud and deceit, ladies and gentlemen, it is obvious that they succeed largely by one old and simple method, that of making it seem easy to get rich quickly. I need hardly add that never in that same experience has this proved to be so. Tonight's case of murder in rhythm and rhyme begins in an old and disreputable office building here in our city.
Harry, here's one. The jerk enclosed the 10-spot in cash, too.
Cash? Let me have it, baby.
Aw, you said the next letter with cash in was mine.
If you finish the recordings, Dolly. Oh. Come now, let Harry have the money. That's a nice girl.
Look who's talking. You ain't even printed the song sheets for the last 6 poems we got.
I will, my pet, I will. What's the poem?
Huh?
The one with the 10-spot. Who thinks he's Irving Boylan this time?
Oh, just reading the letter. And I read your ad where you say you can write music to fit my poem, so I enclose it.
Smart boy.
There's more. Also, where you say in the ad, you will send me a record of my song as sung by an international star of stage and screen. That's me, Buster.
Yeah, he didn't send for the signed copy, did he?
Oh, there ain't no extra $2 if that's what you're looking for.
Oh.
Oh, brother, get a load of the title.
On the poem?
Yeah. Granny's making cornbread up yonder tonight. Oh, no.
Granny's doing what, Pat?
Making cornbread, whatever that is.
Let's see now. Dum-da-dum-da-dee-da-dee-da-dum-da-dum-da. Boom. Granny's making biscuits tonight. Boom, boom.
Cornbread.
Cornbread tonight. Boom, boom.
What's the rest of it?
What do you care? We'll use the same tune we always do.
Yeah. Who's that?
Well, how should I know? One answer?
You go, Dolly. Whoever it is, get rid of him.
That's a help.
I'm not here, Dolly. All right?
All right, go on. Duck in the back room. Hello.
Excuse me. Is this the Great White Way Music Publishing Company?
Yeah, it is. What can I do you for?
Well, I beg your pardon.
Up with it, chum. I'm a busy girl. Hey, wait a minute. If that stinking Sam Denver sent you, he can fly a kite for his dough.
Sam Denver?
Yeah, the bookie. Or did you come? Wait a second. What do you want, huh?
Why, I sent you my poems. I'm Tim Newton.
You're who?
Tim Newton. I have Mr. Madison's letter right here.
Oh, I see. Oh, you're a customer.
Yeah.
Oh, gee. Excuse me for living. I thought you were somebody else.
Have I come to the right place?
Oh, you sure have, Mr. Newton. Come right in.
You have a court appearance at 11, Chief, and lunch with the commissioner at 1:30.
Oh, yes, thank you, Miss Miller. Now, anything else?
Let me see. I don't...
Come out. Morning, Chief. Morning, little Colleen.
Little what?
Yes, I don't believe I quite caught that, Harrington.
Sure, you're not knowing what the day it is, Chief.
Day? Well, let me see. March 17th, isn't it, Miss Miller?
Wednesday, Chief.
Wednesday.
Oh, Miss Miller, look. Look at my necktie now. What color is it?
Kind of orange, isn't it, Chief?
Orange. Oh, my grandmother's spinning in her grave in County Cork. It's green. This is St. Patrick's Day yet.
No.
No, is it really? Well, I hadn't heard, had you, Miss Miller?
Not a
St.
thing,
Patrick's
Chief.
Day.
Who's St. Patrick?
Oh, Miss Miller, that does it. So help me in a minute.
Sure, Harrington, my boy, we're known. It's a good Saint's Day, to be sure.
Well, sure, Harrington, to be sure.
Oh, Corny, that's what it is, an orange tie. Can you? Me with an orange.
I take it all back, Harrington. That's the greatest piece of neckwear I've ever seen.
Oh, well, thank you. That's better.
Sure.
Anything for me today, Chief?
Well, now, there are a few things, Harrington. However, if you're busy, perhaps Brophy can take...
Brophy? What is it, Chief? What's on my schedule?
Do you have that advertisement, Miss Miller?
The one the Better Business Bureau sent over?
Yes, that's right.
Let's see. Oh, it's right on top of your folder there, Chief.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Did you ever hear of the, wait a minute, the Great White Way Music Publishing Company, Harrington?
Oh,
That old racket again, Chief.
Well, as a matter of fact, this particular ad puzzles me.
Yeah?
It's apparently been running in small out-of-town papers.
Sure, that's where they get 'em.
Well, this isn't just the usual ad, however. This one says that for a service fee of $10, they'll write music to fit your poem, send you a copy of the published song, and what was the rest of it, Miss Miller?
Send it to a nationwide radio network.
Yeah.
Remember that,
That's
Chief.
right, that's right. Oh, and finally, you get a phonograph recording of your song made by an... let's see, where's that wording? Oh, here. Made by an internationally famous star of stage and screen.
Boy, that's some $10 worth, Chief.
That's my impression, too. You know, it's strange how one of these crops up every so often. You'd think people would learn.
Oh, not poets, Chief.
No.
I have a cousin who sends me his latest masterpieces every week.
Sure, and that's how these bums stay in business.
Yes, well, let's put this one out of business, Harrington. Check on it, will you, and let me know.
Oh, Harry, for Pete's sake. The kid's been hanging around for 3 days.
Kid, Pet? What kid?
Tim Newton. He's sitting out in the other office.
No, Tim, yeah. Fine boy, Dolly. Great talent.
Great talent, my foot. He's got a 10 spot for every one of his drippy poems, you mean?
He has more?
Yeah, bucket full. Only... Oh, I don't think you ought to do it, Harry. Honest.
We don't quite do it honest, Pet.
Very funny. But, Harry, he's such a nice boy. Yeah, and he's getting sore, too.
Oh?
Yeah, well, why wouldn't he? This dump don't exactly look like Big Dough, you know.
My dear girl, some of the finest songs in the business have come out of modest surroundings.
Yeah.
Why, when I was in vaudeville, I found numbers practically anywhere.
That I can guess.
Huh?
You still say get rid of the kid. Send him back where he came from before he gets too smart.
Hey, this is unlike you, Dolly. Is the boy by any chance attractive?
Who, me?
Just a thought, just a thought. I'll have a talk with him today, perhaps run over a few of his epics with him.
Well, I still say get rid of him now before he gets smartened up.
Tell you what, baby doll, just a few more taps at his till, and away he goes. All right?
He's getting sore, Harry.
Oh, nonsense. He'll go home singing. Oh, in the meantime, Pet.
Yeah?
Be nice to him. Poets, you know, they have a tender soul.
Well, I guess that about cleans up my little black book, Chief. Mm-hmm. And he's a cinch for a conviction?
I think so, Harrington. Who was assigned to the trial, Miss Miller?
Fred, Chief. Jack's assisting.
Oh, good. Ask them to go over it with me when they're ready, will you please?
Yes, sir.
Now, anything else, Harrington?
Well, I slapped a discon charge on Weepin' Willie, Chief. I told you about him.
Did it stick?
He was up in front of Judge Higgs this morning. He drew 3 years.
I have the verdict report on that, Chief.
Yeah, fine. Oh, what about our song publishing friends, Harrington? Any progress?
Chief, there's a lot of up-and-up music publishers in this county, but I don't think our Great White Way boys are one of them.
Oh? Are they licensed?
They are not.
I see. Who's running the show?
Well, as near as I can get it, Chief, a guy named Harry Madison.
Harry Madison.
Yeah, one of the boys that helped kill Vaudeville. And a dame named Dolly Racine.
Who?
She's the international star of stage and screen, Miss Miller.
She sounds like it.
Yeah, the whole thing's as phony as they come, Chief. Give me a couple of days to seal it up, and I'll take them.
Now, my boy, let's just get a few kinks ironed out here, and we'll be all set. Just read me the first line again.
Not today, Harry. I'm tired.
Nonsense. Now, Tim.
The catfish are a-biting down in Honeysuckle Bay.
They'll do it every time.
That's the first line, Miss Racine. Like I said, I wrote this one when I was fishing.
No.
Yeah.
Did you hear that, Dolly?
Yeah.
An outdoor song. Woodsy stuff. Goes over big, my boy.
You think so, Mr. Madison?
Think? Why, I know. Now, we'll just get the old piano warmed up, and we'll let it go.
We gotta do it now, Harry?
No time like the present, Dolly. Got the recording machine on?
Wait a second.
You make records on that?
Finest equipment in the world, my boy. Made it myself. Ready, Dolly?
Give me the words.
Oh, here they are, Miss Racina, on my manuscript. Right.
All set? 1, 2.
The catfish are a-biting down in Honeysuckle Bay. The moon's a feather pillow on which my head to lay.
Not now, son. Go on, Dolly.
But you've got the wrong tune, Mr. Madison.
What do you mean, the wrong tune?
Well, that's the tune you used before, remember? On my poem about the way the sun shines on the cornfield?
My dear young man, I never use the same melody twice.
But that's the same one, though, and I think it sounds like the other ones, too.
Harry.
Never mind, Dolly. Look, son, I've been turning out hits since before you were born. I know music.
Oh, I know that, Mr. Madison.
Good. Now, shall we make the record, Dolly?
No.
Not with that tune, Mr. Madison. That ain't fair.
Harry, maybe we ought...
Stay out of this, Pep. What isn't fair, my boy?
Using the same tune for all my poems. I've been thinking, Mr. Madison, you ain't just playing square about this thing.
Uh-huh.
Dolly, be quiet. You have a complaint, Tim?
Well, just that it ain't fair, Mr. Madison. You say in the ad you write special music for my words.
Go on.
But you don't. It's the same thing over and over, and while I'm getting it off my chest, Mr. Madison, it ain't fair about her, too.
Oh? Now, just a second. What ain't fair about me?
The way the ad says my song will get recorded by an international star.
Well?
Heck, Miss Racine, you don't sound like a star at all.
I don't, huh? Why, you small-time hick. Where do you get off making a crack like that?
No, there's no need to get sore, Miss Racine. I just think you folks are cheating people, that's all.
Why, you bum, you two-for-nickel...
Hold it, Dolly. All right, young man. You're dissatisfied with our service? We will give you your $10 back.
Oh, it ain't that, Mr. Madison.
No, I insist. Get him $10, Dolly.
No, don't do that, Miss Racine. It ain't the money so much, it's the principle of the thing.
It's what?
Cheating folks this way. That's a phone you got there?
Phone? Yeah, what for?
It ain't easy to get me mad, Mr. Madison, but you got no right making people out fools this way.
Who are you calling?
Policeman.
Harry!
I figure we can just sit down and have a little talk about this, Mr. Madison. I've been thinking about it a long time now.
Harry, do something, Harry!
Put down the phone, son.
Not now, Mr. Madison. In fact, the more I think, the madder I get.
I said put down the phone.
Harry, stop him for crying out loud.
Now, there's no need to get all excited, Miss Racine. I just wanted to be sure. Hello, operator?
Crazy country jerk.
Operator, I wonder if you can tell me how better...
No! Gee, Harry. You knocked him cold.
Dumb cluck. Pick up the phone, Dolly.
Yeah. What'd you hit him with?
Just a paperweight. He'll come around. Pick up the phone.
Yeah. Crazy kid. Now what'll we tell him?
Oh, I'll get rid of him somehow. What's the matter?
Hey, Harry. This Tim Newton.
What?
Gee, Harry. He's dead.
Tim Newton, amateur poet, would-be songwriter, dead. We'll hear the next development in this unusual case in just a moment.
But first, tell me, Jan, what's your pet superstition?
My pet superstition? Well, when I spill salt, I always throw some over my left shoulder to avoid bad luck.
How about you, Bob? I'm one who believes in knocking on wood.
Yes, lots of us have little superstitions. But it takes more than some pet superstition to help you avoid a troublesome day. For example, if you wake up in the morning feeling dull and logy because you need a laxative.
You take Sal Hepatica, eh, Fred?
Right. A sparkling glass of Sal Hepatica when you get up brings quick, gentle relief, usually within an hour. And that means you don't have to feel dull and logy all day waiting until night to take the laxative you needed in the morning.
In addition, if you're troubled with excess gastric acidity, Sal Hepatica helps sweeten your stomach.
So keep a bottle of Sal Hepatica handy. Then anytime you need a laxative, morning, noon, or night, see how much faster you feel better thanks to gentle, speedy Sal Hepatica. And
now back to Mr. District Attorney.
They got the guy's body up on the pier, Chief. You want to take a look?
Yes, I think so, Harrington, as long as we're here. Who discovered it?
Yeah, one of the dock hands. It ain't been in the water very long.
Over here?
Yeah, under the blanket. All right, Johnson, I'll watch it.
Okay, Harrington. Oh, hello, Johnson.
Hello, dear. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Young boy.
Yeah. Thought as long as you were on your way home, Chief, you might as well see it.
Yes. I'm glad you called. Any identification?
No, nothing too good so far. Some kind of book in his pocket. I'll dry it out.
Death due to drowning?
Well, that's one reason I called, Chief. I'm not sure. Here, look. Look at that bump on the side of his head.
Yes. I was just noticing. Has the examiner been called?
Yeah, he'll be waiting when they bring the body in.
Well, strange. Suicides are usually careful to avoid hitting anything in the water.
Yeah, and they usually don't clean out their pockets this way either, Chief.
No. I think you'd better follow through on this, Harrington. Are you on something else?
Just that song publishing thing.
Yes, well, I'll check on that for you. Stick with this, if you will. It might be murder.
Dolly, you gotta stop thinking about it. It's done. Forget it.
But you killed him, Harry. Gee, I never meant for nothing like that to happen.
And neither did I, but it's done, ain't it? Now we just gotta be sure everything is covered up.
But what about his hometown? They'll know he came to see us.
What?
Well, you know how it is. Small town boy goes off to the big city. He's bound to have talked about it.
Yeah. Yeah, he would.
And sooner or later they'll wonder what happened to him, won't they?
All right. So he never got here, that's all. We never saw him.
Suppose he rode home while he was here. Suppose he told somebody we were recording his songs.
Yeah. Okay. So we did see him, but he left. Get it? He started back home.
Then what?
Well, after that, we don't know nothing. Hey, wait a minute. We can cinch it.
How?
We'll send him a letter.
Huh?
You know, glad to have seen him in the city. Hope he got home okay. That kind of thing.
To prove he left here all right.
Sure.
Huh? Yeah, Harry.
Say, we'll even do better than that. We'll send him one of his records. We got one, haven't we?
One? Dozens. Look at that pile.
Okay, we'll send him one. Then, when anybody asks us, we're surprised, see? Shocked. We don't know a thing.
Chief?
Yes?
Harrington.
Yes, Harrington. What is it?
Well, I'm over at the lab, Chief. On that kid we fished out of the river last night?
Oh, yes. What about him? Any identification?
No, not yet, but I did get something. There's a bookstore label in that book we found on him.
Oh?
Yeah, it's kind of a crazy book, too. It's what they call a rhyming dictionary.
I see.
Yeah. If you don't want me, Chief, I thought I'd take a run out and check on who bought the book. It ought to be easy to trace.
You run out where?
Collinsville, about 50 miles west, okay?
Oh, all right. Sure. Go right ahead. Oh, and on that Great White Way song publishing matter.
Oh, yeah, Chief. My report's on my desk.
Yes, I've seen it. There's no need to wait for you, Harrington. I'll close that case while you're gone.
How it's mailed, Dolly? Did you pick it up?
22 letters.
Well, we're doing better. Much better.
Harry.
Yes, Pet?
Harry, I was thinking, couldn't we quit? Well, maybe just for a while, even.
Quit? When we're getting 22 letters a day?
We don't get that many every day. Besides, well, it seems kind of low.
Huh?
Like he said that night, like cheating people.
Dolly, some people were meant to be cheated. Besides, we do what we promise them. I print a copy of their song for them, don't I?
Yeah.
Well.
One copy. Same as the gag about sending one to a radio network.
Okay, who says anything about what the network does with the song? We send it. That's the big thing.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
You'll be fine, Pet. See who's there.
I guess so. Maybe I think too much.
That I doubt, Pet.
Hello.
Oh, I beg your pardon. Is this the Great White Way Music Publishing Company?
It is.
Good. My name is Howard. James Porter Howard.
Yeah?
Oh, permit me to introduce myself, sir. Howard. James Porter Howard.
So, what's the trouble?
Trouble? Why, my dear Mr.
Madison's the name,
My
chum.
dear Mr. Madison, there's no trouble. Not now. You see, sir, I have brought you my poem.
Oh, you write poetry.
Oh, I do indeed. Yes, indeed. And you, I understand, have been favored by the other muse?
How's that again?
Well, in short, my verses, your music. Together, a fortune. Am I not right?
Look, Mr. Howard, before you get unwound, there's a fee goes with this kind of thing, you know.
Naturally. I've read your advertisement, Mr. Madison. That's why I'm here. Now, come then, can't we do business?
Well, sit down, Mr. Howard.
Thank you.
Take off your coat.
Thank you.
Get the man a chair, Dolly.
Huh? Oh, sure.
And dust it off. Yes, sir. We can do business just fine.
Miss Miller, you sure you don't know where the chief is, huh?
Harrington, for heaven's sake, calm down. He went out, I tell you.
Calm down, Miss Miller. What I got here in this little bag is a bumshell. I gotta find the chief.
Well, I told you he probably won't be back at all. He said something about stopping at that publishing place and then going on home when he was finished.
Yes, what? Music publishing?
Yeah.
Holy smoke, you mean my boy? The Great White Way outfit?
That's right. He read your report and decided to make the arrest himself.
Oh, no.
Why, what's the matter?
Call a car, Miss
What?
Miller. Come on, step on it. This is much worse than the chief thinks.
You have it right, Mr. Howard.
Yes?
For $10, I write music to fit your poem. And I give you a printed copy.
Well, imagine that.
Yeah, and a recording, Mr. Howard.
Yes.
We guarantee to send it to a big radio network.
Well, I am delighted. Hey, you'll take my $10 now?
Sure. Makes everything easy to keep track of.
Yes, here you are, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Howard.
And thank you. That does it. I think you're both under arrest.
Arrest?
Hey, that's right.
Hey, what kind of... Who are you?
The district attorney, Madison. Now, come on, get your hats and coats from both of you. I've wasted enough time.
Harry, do something
Listen,
with
you can't pinch us. What for?
For fraud. Now, do you come downstairs, or should I ask one of the officers?
Oh,
Come
now,
on.
wait a minute.
But, Harrington.
You all right?
All right. Why, of course, Miss Miller. Why shouldn't I be?
Hey, now, listen.
Talk to him, Harry, please.
Chief, you pinched him?
That's right, Harrington, for fraud.
Yeah, well, you can change it if you want to, Chief, to murder.
Murder?
No, Harry, don't let him
Shut
have
up,
it.
Dolly.
Chief, it's true. Look, Harrington, there's a phonograph
Oh,
right
yeah.
over here.
Have you got a minute, Chief? This
Yeah.
record is really hot. Can you work it, Miss Miller?
Sure, it's easy, Harrington. Now, just let me get the record.
No, just a second. You can't bust
Quiet,
in here like
quiet,
that.
Madison. You're already under arrest. All right, go on, Harrington. Let's hear that
Listen to
record.
this, Chief.
Yeah, just the last part will do it, Miss Miller.
Okay.
Gee, Harry, you knocked him cold.
Dumb cluck. Pick up the phone, Dolly.
Stand still, you two.
Yeah. What'd you hit him with?
Just a paperweight. He'll come around. Pick up the phone.
Yeah. Crazy kid. Now what'll we tell him?
Oh, I'll get rid of him somehow. What's the matter?
Hey, Harry. This is Jim Newton.
Where do you hear this, Chief?
What?
Gee, Harry. Gee, Harry. He's dead.
Heard enough, Chief?
Yes, plenty. Turn it off, Miss Miller.
Harry, no, do something, Harry.
Sorry,
What are you
Dolly.
standing there for?
I'm afraid the two of you have already done quite enough. Come on, Harrington, let's go.
Your district attorney will return in just a moment to bring you the solution to tonight's case. But first, to every girl, a word about one of your greatest assets, your natural good looks.
Every girl was born with at least one touch of beauty, one claim to charm. I mean that warm, winning beauty in her smile, in your smile.
Make the most of your smile. Remember to give your smile the thoughtful care it deserves. Remember that iPana toothpaste is good for your smile.
Remember the fact.
According to a nationwide survey, dentists recommend iPana 2-to-1 over any other dentifrice. And what's more, these dentists prefer iPana 2-to-1 for their own personal use over any other toothpaste on the market.
iPana cleans teeth clean, safely too. And followed by gentle massage promotes the health of your gums.
Help your dentist help your smile. Begin now getting your iPana smile.
Taste the freshness, feel the cleanness, see the sparkle. See how you look with an iPana smile.
Just try iPana. iPana toothpaste. Now, here is your district attorney.
I'm happy to report that with Harrington's unusual evidence against them, ladies and gentlemen, Harry Madison and Dolly will pay the full penalty demanded for the murder of Tim Newton.
That was certainly something, wasn't it, Harrington?
Routine, Miss Miller. After the medical examiner said Tim Newton died from a blow on the head, I started to follow up the lead.
Yes, the label on his rhyming dictionary took you out to his hometown, didn't it, Harrington?
That's right, Chief. It was easy to trace the dictionary to him because it was the only one they'd sold in years.
And then while you were there getting the whole story, that recording arrived addressed to him in the mail.
Sure, of course we had a pretty good case without it, Miss Miller. But the record sure clinched the deal.
Yes, I'll say it did. As we know now, Dolly didn't turn off the recording machine at the time of Tim Newton's death.
Yes, and what's worse, she sent that same record in the mail, thinking it was just another one of his songs.
Boy, oh boy, I guess they never learned. The old battle goes right on.
That's right, Harrington. And speaking of battles, I wonder how many people realize that there are thousands of our boys still overseas on occupation duty. Many also on duty here at home.
Yes, that's quite right, Miss Miller. And just as in past years, we can show our appreciation for the job they're doing through our Red Cross. Wherever American forces are stationed, our Red Cross is on duty, helping them with personal and family problems, lending a friendly hand in military hospitals, too.
That's a pretty big job, isn't it, Chief?
Yes, a tremendous job. One that will need the support of all of us. And it's another reason, friends, why your contribution to the Red Cross right now is so important. Give and give generously to your local Red Cross drive. Remember, as our president says, many times a year the people turn to the Red Cross. And once a year the Red Cross turns to the people. And that time is now.
Right. Oh, Chief, what about next week?
Well, next week, ladies and gentlemen, our story concerns a man and his love for his daughter. It's a tremendously dramatic story I'm sure you'll enjoy. It's the case of the grand old man, and I cordially invite you to join us for it. And so until then, thank you and good night.
It's new. It's quick. It's Benex. Benex. The new brushless wonder shave that wilts your whiskers so they whisk off like Mr. Try Benex. The special beard softening formula makes your beard 1/5 water, makes whisker cutting a breeze. Benex doesn't clog your razor, instantly rinses off razor and hands, which all adds up to quick, easy, comfortable shaves. Get Benex. Benex. Benex Brushless Shave Cream.
The names of all characters in tonight's dramatization are fictitious, and any resemblance to names of living persons or actual places is purely coincidental. Our stars were Jay Justin in the title role, Len Doyle as Harrington, and Vicky Bola as Miss Miller. The music was under the direction of Peter Van Steeden. The program is produced and directed by Edward A. Byram and written by Robert Shaw. Mr. District Attorney was originated by Philip H. Lord. Remember, Ipana for the smile of beauty, Sal Hepatica for the smile of health. Bristol Myers invites you to tune in again next week for Duffy's Tavern and Mr. District Attorney.
This NBC, the National Broadcasting Company.